than usual.
Are we live? Is this gonna be stupid again?
I don't know.
Is it?
Gotta check.
Remember when it was dumb last time?
Yeah, I remember.
Oh,
just
it's
gotta check.
live. We're live. We're officially
live.
live.
We're live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the bonus episode of Batyard's Finest Productions. And today I will be the master of ceremonies, your Green Lantern from Oa Jerry, and we'll just get right into it and hit the episode up. Matt, do your intro.
What's up, guys? I'm Matt from Gotham.
I'm Josh from Metropolis. How do you
And tonight we will be given, I guess, a full review and synopsis. Well, not maybe a synopsis, but more just a full review of The Flash and Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. I want to say the next film, which is Beyond the Spiderverse, but this one's Across the Spiderverse.
Yeah, well, the reason I remember is from the Beatles song. Like, okay, across the universe, across the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah, they did a movie like that. I
Yeah,
forgot
they had-
about that.
Yeah, that was a weird movie.
It was a movie.
It was good.
It was weird. It was good, but it was
good.
weird.
It was definitely, yeah. But that's a whole other thing. But
So,
yeah, I guess I'll wait on that comment.
go ahead and make the comment. I was just gonna go ahead and get right into it. So use all the one-liners.
I was just gonna say to Into the Spider-Verse, they didn't play Across the Universe in the movie. Like for an end
They're
credit.
saving it for the last one.
Did they?
I think. I don't know.
No, they didn't. I'm pretty sure I would remember that.
But
that's all
I
wanted to
guess
say.
first we should go ahead and get the elephant in the room out of the way and go ahead and discuss Flash. And Josh, since you just resaw it and it's fresh on your mind, if you want to give us quick synopsis or just jump right into your thoughts, either one is perfectly fine.
I think we should describe kind of what it is, at least, So The Flash is about Barry Allen, Ezra Miller. He's running so fast. He teams up with Batman, Ben Affleck Batman, and then there's a Wonder Woman cameo, and then he's running around, and then he's talking to his dad, trying to get him out of prison. And he runs so fast that he's like, oh, I could change the past. And he goes up to Ben Affleck. He's like, I'm going to save my mom. I can save your parents. And Ben Affleck's like, I don't know. That's risky business. And then the Flash does it anyway. So he changes one insignificant thing in the past. So his mom, lives, which is the tomato sauce, is the plot point. And then, puts the tomato sauce in her grocery cart. So she remembers. And so his dad doesn't, get blamed for murder. Anyway, he goes and fucks up the timeline. He Back to the Future's Tuesday, and he sees his past self. His Marty McFly get together, and they have to get the band together. They have to get Superman and Batman, and it turns out Superman's Supergirl and Batman is Michael Keaton. And Michael Keaton explains the whole spaghetti straw universe, that it's a multiverse and not just one linear timeline. If you change the past, you're going to go into a different alternate multiverse. So then General Zod's coming, and they're like, oh shit, we need Superman. And instead, they get Supergirl in this universe. And then they fight Zod, and then the movie ends. Okay, so
What?
Perfect. 10 out of 10 explanation. We're going to forego my picks in 2 weeks, and we're going to jump right back into Josh's. We're going to supersede everyone.
Yes. Yeah. This is a necessary episode. I felt like we had to talk about these topics, so that's why we're here today. I just got fresh off of seeing it again. This was my first time seeing a movie by myself in the theaters. Very interesting. We'll get into that, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot to talk about this movie. I don't really want to take over and just keep yapping away.
Crispy, you go ahead and get the negative comments started. because I do want to get those out of the way at least.
Oh shoot.
I feel like we should start with what we like about the movie and then go to the negatives.
How about you guys love that opening part of the movie with that saving the fucking hospital?
The babies. That was ludicrous. It was very.
That
ludicrous.
was insane.
Let's
I
just
was
go with
talking.
that.
It's so funny you mentioned that first, Crispy. I was talking to another guy I work with. He's big into Marvel, DC, and he fills me in on some news that I miss. And he told me like that 20-minute intro scene was supposed to be cut out because on the red carpet premiere, it was just so negatively received. People were just like in tears and walking out.
I heard the same.
And I'm not surprised because, it's not like this is a rated R film or, one of those snuff films that are just incredibly gratuitous for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have this PG-13 movie showing that these babies are essentially gonna die to, fall to their death. And I was like, oh, wow, and when I went to go see it in theaters, I was texting you guys, and then by the time it started, like everybody was in there, and it was at most 12 people. I said out loud, this is a fucking hell of a way to start a movie showing a dozen babies dying.
Yeah, I was worried.
Chuckles out of that.
I was worried.
Chuckles.
I was worried when I was watching it with Matt. I was like, oh my God. Matt, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, I don't know what movie we got into, but like if this sets the tone for the whole movie, I was going to get motion sick. Like it was cool. I liked like when he was running and then he goes into like Metropolis or wherever the fuck it was. I don't even know what. I don't know where they go. Go to some city. I don't even remember. I just watched it again. I don't even remember. And he was going so fast and like so much shit was going on. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get motion sickness. This is gonna be too much of the movie. I thought it was gonna be like the whole movie. Well, like luckily it was only that one sequence where he's like, where it was like that intense and that insane. If that was the whole movie, I definitely wouldn't have blamed anyone for wanting to walk out because like that was overwhelming for me. Like that opening intro, I was like, oh my god, this is too much is going on right now.
God,
I'm gonna get sick.
The one thing I have a complaint about, like 100% complaint about, is like he basically tells Alfred he's got everybody out of the hospital, but I'm like, if he got everyone out of the hospital, like looked over the hospital, like how the fuck did you just miss that? Like you miss this one room,
important room at that.
Important room,
yeah.
And like, god, it just doesn't make it. I'm like in my head, it's like, what the fuck? And then where'd the dog come from too? I don't remember the dog being.
The dog just came out of the blue. Like he's
I know.
That was a therapy dog. So I think the lady was his handler, or you know how hospital staff is like, I'll watch the dog for a little bit.
But the thing is, like, I don't remember that dog in the room though, in the scene. Like Josh, from your second viewing, did you see it?
I don't even remember. I think the
dog just showed up.
I think I was making the post at that point.
Got it. Got it. All right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go.
No. I was just gonna say, like, for me, that opening scene, like, I was with Josh. Like, I was almost turned off from the movie at that point, especially considering, like, okay, they're doing like, kind of the stereotypical superhero thing, like, oh, he's running late, and then there's a slow cashier, barista, or just kind of
that was
like
so
a service
stupid.
person. And I'm like, okay, I think this is kind of redundant, but it's it's a way to start a movie. And then it's like he has his watch telling him like, oh, your calorie intake is really low, so you're not going to be able to use your speed force to run like you need to. And I'm like, when has that ever like been a prominent issue? Because that was something that really bothered me a lot, because my brother's very big into the Flash, and I didn't text him about it, but I'm like, from everything he's ever told me, the Flash does not have to eat like 50,000 calories a day to maintain his connection to the Speed Force. It's just something he has.
I think it is part of his character that he has to eat, to keep up his energy. But I don't know if it really contains his Speed Force. But like either way, he's gonna need that a lot of intake, to produce that much energy. So like I don't mind it, and there's other carnations of like the Flash like always eating, so like I didn't mind that. It was just like they never pointed it out in like another movie. Like it wasn't ever in like the Justice League or like anything like that. Like it never showed like Barry constantly eating like in the Batcave or whatever.
They always show him eating as like a normal dude, or even if he's moving at light supersonic speed, just going through and eating 50,000 calories. Like, okay, that makes sense. He's burning all this energy, so he's got to keep it up. But I just felt like that was something very disappointing, because they did bring that up a few other times during the movie, and I'm like, okay, I get it. He has to eat in order to run fast and maintain his connection. But that just robbed me of, to me, that was just something that just, I can't explain it. It just didn't sit right with me. Like, if that makes a lot of sense.
I kind of get it. I understand what you mean. Like, it kind of, to me, like, with the whole metabolism thing, it was like, if we, like how you guys stated, like, if we got introduced to this, like, earlier in the movie, like, other movies, it would make more sense. But, like, we didn't get introduced to this until now. And, like, now we're just like, okay, so now the whole movie, he's going to be worried about this stupid food issue. And we're not going to get to see the action that we want to see of him just being the Flash, just running around like an idiot, doing what he has to do without him being like, oh, my watch, it's going off. I need to eat a freaking chew bar somewhere. Help. No. I don't need to see him bitch about food. I just need to see him just do his job and get over with it. If there's like a scene where he's at a restaurant and just eating fucking food, I'd be okay with that, because I'd be like the CW kind of like introduced like something like that. It was kind of nice that they actually mentioned that in the show, because they understand like his metabolism got like boosted, and they introduced like they made like basically a Cliff Bar that had enough like protein and like substance for him to have him burn throughout the day. Or at least like have like one or two of them a day to keep him going. But like in this, it's just like they just threw that in for I don't know reason, and like he probably got the watch now because he's more tied with Batman. So Batman's probably gave him a freaking monitor to keep him going, because probably Batman thought of it more than him. So
yeah. I think this movie has way more problems than his metabolism.
No, I know.
How much?
This is
the super minor nitpick out of all the things to pick on. This is the most minute thing. Honestly, I kind of like that stuff. Like, I kind of liked how he like had to eat all the time. But like, out of everything that was going on, the bad CGI, like the lackluster,
okay, the bad CGI.
Like, there's a lot going on.
Speaking about the bad CGI,
we're working into it. We're starting off.
You bitch about the beginning, but the bad CGI thing that pissed me off the most is after before I was hearing the rumors about the director saying something else to the CGI. Then once I saw the movie, then I saw more the director trying to defend the CGI more. Now he's like, well, the CGI is supposed to look like that. And all this other stuff. It wasn't supposed to be like perfect CGI. And everyone's like, what the fuck do you mean?
Yeah.
You had one of the highest excuses. It's like it's the excuse. But the sad thing is he's the director that did the It movie.
He did It.
Yeah. So it's sad that but I believe he's the third or fourth fucking director that joined this project. So
I don't know. I don't know entirely
because they're supposed to have because originally they're supposed to have I think Matt Reeves supposed to be the director at one point.
I forgot.
And then he dropped off because they had so many script rewrites, and he just said, "Stop, fuck it, I'm out."
Yeah.
I'm actually glad Josh mentioned something about the CGI, because that was the next thing I was gonna say. The CGI looked like you guys know like the wax museums that every state has.
Yeah.
Looking at the CGI, I felt like I was in a really bad wax museum because you could tell like they wanted it to be better, but they just kind of accepted whatever it was as is.
It's like the bootleg
And
wax figures.
I was really disappointed in that because I was like, oh, we're gonna see the Flash, just I didn't know how they were gonna, do everything as far as the time travel and everything. And I thought the Flash generating enough speed to generate, a temporal bubble to shield him from, his own backwards running. I was like, oh, okay, I like that idea, And then when we saw like the layers, kind of like a sandcastle, like everything just kind of followed, like day after day after day to just kind of show him going back. For me, if
I thought that was cool.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, give me more of that because, it symbolizes, the flow of time and how, people use the sand timers. I thought that was something that should have been expounded upon much more. Because I felt like, if you're going to do something with the concept of, flowing sand forwards and backwards, why not have it so that he can go to these individual points in the sand, instead of having it just collapse and reform, but just have him go to this individual like moment and then just reshape it as the sand, if you can see where I'm going with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jerry. I agree, like how they depict like sand and time with like, with the dirt and sand. Like I thought that was kind of cool, and like you said with the dials, the sand dials, and like it kind of it made me think of like dust in the wind, like because like everything in time turns into dust, So like I thought that was kind of cool, like little metaphor at the same time. And it was cool that they like had the layers of like when he was running like time going backwards, like you could see like actions and moments that were happening in his life and it was going backward. Before we like get past the opening scene, I just wanted to mention like when you see Barry with Ben Affleck's Batman and Wonder Woman, it was a very awkward scene. Like, they had the lasso of truth like I think it was kind of funny when Barry says he doesn't know what sex is. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of something. But like the stuff with Batman was just kind of awkward. And I was like, these characters have no chemistry, even though they have like they're supposed to have this history. We're supposed to like link onto these characters because these previous events, like in Justice League and whatever the hell have you, there's nothing between them. It was just like I don't care about.
It's just
any
like
of
there's
these people's
three
relationships.
people in a room.
Yeah, it was weird. It was just awkward, and it was just like they have absolutely no chemistry between any of them.
No.
I mean, maybe Batman and the Flash because they kind of work together a little bit more, but even then, it was just weird. I almost feel like Alfred had more chemistry with Barry than those other characters.
And it's so funny. I was gonna get into that scene after we finished talking about the Sands thing. Like seeing Wonder Woman with the lasso of truth, and then she wrapped it around Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne and the criminal, and how he was just starting to freak out, like he just starts telling all these truths. It reminds me of this meme, or I don't know if it's a panel from a comic book or not, and how it's Clark Kent, Kal-El, and Bruce Wayne Batman, kind of being touched by the lasso of truth by Wonder Woman, and Superman is just like, "Oh, my name is Kal-El," and then Batman is just like, "I'm Batman." He doesn't break character, he doesn't break face, and here we have Ben Affleck actively like freaking out that he's gonna open up and tell all these terrible secrets and hidden truths about himself. I thought it was funny, in the moment, but thinking on it now, I'm like, that's kind of cringy, because Batman's supposed to be this stone wall of a person. He doesn't get emotional often, unless it deals with his parents, or like in the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, when he's dealing with villains who are essentially at the end of their rope, and he's just trying to give them peace in their final moments.
Well, yeah, it was especially cringy the second time because I was like, I knew it was coming up, and I was like, I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna see what they say. And I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Didn't he mention
he was like, "I have parent issues," and then even the thug was like, "I have damage trauma too." Like, I don't care about you. I don't care.
You're just a freaking thug of the week, dude.
Yeah, get out of here. I mean, it was cool. It was interesting that at least Ben Affleck got a proper send off. It was kind of cool. All right, he's in the movie. He's an essential part. They don't dwell on him too much. He kind of just gets Barry started, and then, you don't see him again.
And then he's on the back burner.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna see Ben Affleck again with Michael Keaton. I thought they were gonna share a scene together when I was looking at the trailer. I was like, that's what I was expecting.
Personally,
yeah, it would have been cool, but after seeing the movie, I understand why they didn't do it, and I was like, okay, it's fine. I wasn't disappointed that it didn't happen. But I was looking forward to it.
But when they're discussing them bringing in Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton into this movie, it was kind of weird because they kind of mentioned in a way they were on set together, so it was weird. So I was actually expecting them to be sharing screen time.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah. So I want to move past the intro because this was the next thing I really wanted to talk the most about is when Ezra Miller finally does go back in time. When he was when he put the tomato can in his mom's basket and he saw that figure, that black figure, do you guys know what that is or have any knowledge of what that is?
Well, they explain it in the movie. Josh seen it twice now. They get the gist of it, but I was expecting it to be that the one that gets he's more a zombified edition of him.
Yeah, the Black Racer. That's what they based that on, because the Black Racer is a speedster that essentially outruns death, and becomes that zombified form you're talking about, Crispy. And I hate that they used that for this hodgepodge project, because that in itself could have been its own, just phenomenal film where they could have brought in any iteration of the Flash. And the fact that they kind of did that for, just to set this whole Flashpoint
early
Deus Ex Machina up.
It is
I
early.
don't even know what to call it.
I
was this doesn't fit into anything that's happening right now. And the Black Racer is a pretty important thing, and you just kind of squandered it because you wanted to just kind of shoehorn them in.
Yeah, I wasn't disappointed that past Barry turned into the villain. I was like, it's the only logical thing that made sense at that point. And this movie had to wrap up. It was almost gonna be 3 hours long. It definitely I felt the length the second time for sure. Honestly, I left early. I was like, all right, I'm getting out of here. But I left right after all that happens. He defeats the Dark Flash, whatever the hell is the future.
We'll just call it Evil Flash.
Yeah, Evil Flash. Doomsday Flash, when he defeats Doomsday Flash.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, it definitely reminded me of Doomsday.
It was a neat
and then that's
concept.
When I left. I was okay, I know the end.
I like the concept of it. Once once you start seeing him, the past Flash, the younger Flash, keep going back in time and coming back riddled with more shrapnel, and you would get the gist of oh fuck, we know where this is going to. And that's what we kept on seeing until he showed up. And the screw thing, he almost killed future our Barry at one moment. He almost stabbed him through the chest with that freaking one on his forearm. I'm like, this is a sign that we need to pull this guy out of this. But our Barry just didn't do shit. about it. Like, and he just stayed put.
Yeah,
Okay.
honestly, I want to say the first and second act, I think worked the best in this whole movie. Like after you get past the opening scene, like I think that's when I kind of like was winning me over with that.
Okay.
Like like when the chemistry with like Barry Allen and like Iris West, like I thought it was like their banter was funny, and like when he goes into his apartment, he's trying to clean up before like she gets in, and then she comes in, and then he's going through his mind like how he could save his mom and everything. He just like leaves in the middle of the conversation. I thought that banter was fun. I like that scene. And, like,
I did enjoy
how he
that.
had to steal 2 beers, and then like once he meets the younger Flash, what like back in 2013, it was a cool concept. It was like their interaction actually made me like the older Flash and like tolerate them because there was even a more annoying version of the Flash. So I was like, okay, I guess I could relate more to the less annoying one. But like even the annoying Flash, like he had his charms, like when he's learning how to use his powers and like he's running and then that one song comes on, I forget what it's called. And his clothes burn on fire. That was a fun sequence. Like that was really
I
fun.
love that. I thought that was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm like, that
was
is a very, young adult thing to do when you
Mhm.
find out you can essentially move faster than what any recorded history can ever do. And
Oh,
your
yeah.
clothes are on fire and you're butt naked in the middle of a ring of fire.
Yeah. Yeah, like that like I wanted a little bit more of those scenes, and like obviously Michael Keaton was great. It's just like after that, like the third act, that's when it kind of lost me. I was like, all right, there's a lot going on. Like I kind of like I'm connected to these characters enough where I care about like what's going to happen, but like at the same time, there's like almost too much going on, and like it's General Zod's army, an army we haven't seen since like 2013, and like there's no like, all right, this might be controversial for me to say. Fucking Supergirl should have been Superman. Okay, because then there would have been an actual connection to General Zod and Superman. The audience would have already connected that character.
Yeah,
We have
that's
to
what I was
introduce-
expecting.
we had
Because
to
they were in
introduce the
Russia.
new
So I'm
character.
like, oh, they're gonna do Red Sun Superman. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah,
But we got Supergirl, and I didn't hate Supergirl. I was like, I like the
I
She just
actress
didn't
for
have
her.
enough. She didn't
But
have
I'm
enough
like,
screen time.
she
be
was
anything.
literally just there. I think all of maybe 45 minutes, like including
I think
the
even
rescue
less.
and then the end.
I
And
think
then
even
she's
less
like-
screen time.
And then obviously she sees Zod and she's like, oh, he's an evil, he's a bad guy because he's trying to go around trying to kill this thriving world just to revive our dead home world. And I'm like, okay, that is a very Superman thing to say and do. But I was like, I would feel a lot better if it was Superman. Especially, we probably should have said this is going to be a full spoiler, but I don't really care at this point. But I was like, I really wished we at least would have got to see baby Kal-El, or at least have something of him instead of Zod saying the
Yeah, I was
infant didn't
hoping-
survive.
Just some
I'm
connection.
like,
That was-
Would've been nice.
what is this?
Yeah.
Yes, Kara Zor-El is older than him, so it will make sense that she is, more in tune for you killed a child for some bullshit ass reason because you don't know how to move on.
And
And
I was what?
No, you go ahead. I was just
Go.
it's just frustration. That's all it is.
Well, I was hoping for that. Okay, so Josh did this to me in the beginning of the movie. Josh was like, I heard there's a Henry Cavill freaking cameo. Oh my god, there's a Henry Cavill cameo somewhere in this movie. So Josh is like, we're watching, and we're in the cafe. The cafe shows like Superman is doing this, blah blah. And he's doing heat vision at the volcano and shit. And
Yep.
Josh is like, is that the fucking cameo? I'm like, I believe it's the cameo. I think that's the cameo. But then when Zod came in, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, we may get an evil Superman, maybe some kind of like different designs,
That would have been a cool
Paradox
twist,
Superman.
Yeah.
But no, we didn't. And Zod just like said, I murdered the baby and it didn't give me what I wanted. The wrong blood it was. It's you.
Yeah.
Then he
And
just
that's
goes after
something else
her.
that just pissed me off. Kara has been, obviously locked up. And the
Yeah.
second she gets out, the sun is rejuvenating her. She's slowly regaining her strength.
Mm-hmm.
And then at this point, it has to have had been at least a full day for her, to just sit in the sun and just rejuvenate herself as much as she can be. But she's still just exhausted and weak, like she ran a fucking decathlon. And I'm like, what kind of bullshit is this?
It's
To be fair, I'm like, all right, it's to continue on to like that Supergirl should have been Superman. Like it would have been nice if it was Henry, and then it would have been like his swan song, and like that would have been his end. Like, he's gone, but like we can move on. He's like in the movie, and at least we have a connection to that character, and like, there's some past. With Supergirl, there's no past, at least to the audience. We all have to find out all this information on top of everything else that we just went through. Like 2/3 of the movie go by, and then we get really introduced to Supergirl. And at that point, I'm like, I don't need more characters. Like, I don't care. I don't care about Supergirl. Like what she was doing, her action scenes was cool. When she was fighting, but like, it was just she just didn't have enough screen time to be anything.
Yeah, they didn't give any more background information. Because the whole time Barry was like, oh, I need to find Clark Kent. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Because in the concept of what he understands about, time and the space-time continuum, Superman should exist on Earth, which is correct. But, Zod, by some miracle, managed to find him as a baby and kill him. I'm like, okay, so what's the point of still mentioning Superman if you aren't going to even show him? Because the only Superman that we got was at the end when they showed all the, like every single like Batman Superman project ever created. The Adam West one, the Christopher Reeves, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. Why not get Henry Cavill back in here?
Yeah,
I really was disappointed because, like Josh said, that would have been at least a proper send-off, and we at least would have gotten to see him one final time with Kate.
Yeah, like we got to see Ben Affleck in Wonder Woman. Why don't we get to see Henry Cavill at least one time? And like Nicolas I know they shot an end credits, like not the end credit scenes, like when the Flash comes back and he meets George Clooney. Like they had a scene, they had at least 4 scenes. They had one with Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot, I guess, at the end, and then there was a few other ones, and then they went with the joke one, the George Clooney one, and like half the audience is gonna go like, "Why the fuck is George Clooney Batman?"
I did say that. I'm like, why the hell did they decide to use George Clooney? I don't think George Clooney's a bad actor. I don't have anything against him, but I was like, for what purpose, did he serve at the very end?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, you have to really think deep back and go like, oh, yeah, he was in that fucking Joel Schumacher movie that, like, no one fucking talks about anymore because it's shit. Like, because it's bad. It wouldn't, it would have been cool. I think they're trying to do this, but, like, they're trying to ask Christian Bale to do that, like, cameo. And that would have made more sense because like that's more in the zeitgeist of people's minds than George Clooney's Batman, But like I guess he said he wasn't gonna do Batman again unless Chris Nolan was directing. But like I think it would have been cool. It would have made more sense and it wouldn't have been like ending on like such a joke, like what the fuck? Like why is George Clooney
like I honestly feel like they just tried to squeeze in every, just past connection to Batman and Superman that they could with the time slot that they wanted to put out. And I kind of mumbled it to myself in the theater. I was like, this is a fucking dog shit of a thing to do. Because you have George Clooney at the very end. We get Michael Keaton from acts 3 to 4. And then we
Yeah,
have
he was
Ben Affleck
great.
in Acts 1 and a little bit of 2. Why the fuck and a little bit of 2? Why the fuck not just end on Michael Keaton or bring Ben Affleck back?
I would have liked Ben Affleck back. I'm not gonna lie.
I would have
I'll-
probably rather. I mean, like if they're gonna do a change, it would have been kind of. I would have done Michael Keaton route, but like if they're gonna, I think that was the whole point. That's kind of like the whole point of it is like it's supposed to be all changed up because that's the whole new DC universe. But now it's going to be confusing when George Clooney isn't Batman. So like, what are they going to do? You know, and
Yeah,
George
'cause
Clooney.
unless
Okay,
you were
George,
a '90s kid, you wouldn't know
Yeah,
anything about
True.
him.
well, I mean, even in the future, like this is supposed to be like their new universe. That's why he goes back in time. That's like he changes the whole thing. That's what happened in Flashpoint. He, when he comes back, he creates a new 52, and then the whole new universe and like events happen. So yeah, and I just want to read some of these comments. Torn says the birth of Savitar. So Savitar is the one I'm kind of more familiar with because that's like this TV show. But I haven't seen the show in so long. And
Yeah,
Torn
I
also
haven't
said,
watched any of the shows, so
So
that's
it
something
was
I'm
it was
unfamiliar with.
decent.
so
And
that
Torn
was
also said the Flash is a watered down Flashpoint paradox mixed with the Flash TV show. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely got the vibes like, oh, this is supposed to be bits of the TV show incorporated.
So in the
But
new universe, he is supposed to be jumpstart the new DC universe. We're not gonna have George Clooney as Batman because that makes no sense. And Ezra Miller is definitely not gonna be the Flash anymore. Like that is a given. Like he's done.
we'll see.
If he's the Flash in another movie, I'm gonna go to whoever's fucking funding this project, and I'm gonna kick them square in the tank. Because with everything that he has done, there is no legal way he should still be allowed to act in Hollywood.
He got away.
If Marvel's let
Apologized.
go
No,
of
it should be done.
I can't think of the two actors that they just kind of let go of and whatnot. But if they let them go, then why is DC holding on to this problem child?
Shoot.
Well, they already made the movie, so they're kind of like stuck with them. Like obviously the promotion for this movie,
They canceled Batgirl.
I know.
That was finished.
That girl was
And that's the whole
75%.
point of the movie. He can't do any marketing for the movie. Like there's not going to be a film crew like interviewing him and Michael Keaton because everyone's going to be kind of asking about his allegations and what the fuck he's done. A lot of people are boycotting this movie. Like fans of DC and fans of Michael Keaton are boycotting this movie because of Ezra Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ezra Miller is like probably I think it's the main factor why this movie is not making any money.
Yes.
Even Michael Keaton's Batman couldn't save it, which is a shame because Michael Keaton was so fucking great in this movie.
This movie was the success it was supposed to be, we were going to get Batman Beyond.
If this movie made money, we would get Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton. But since it's not making money, I don't know if that's going to go in fruition. But like, it sucks because it's great that Michael Keaton got to like be Batman again, but at the same time, it sucks that it's this movie. That had to be in this movie.
When he put on the suit and I saw the cowl, I said he's still fucking. He still has that same energy from way back when to just give me the Batman that I know and love.
Exactly, and it wasn't like awkward or anything either. Like when he was in suit, like and you saw him, like it was like. Damn, that's fucking Batman.
Natural.
He looks just like the same from '89. Like you could put Michael Keaton in that suit back in that movie, and you wouldn't even really be able to tell that that's like a 7-year-old man running around. Yeah, and it was great. Like his action scenes, like that whole sequence in Russia, I loved because like Batman was
that was fantastic.
He was like leading the charge, and the Flashes were bumbling. One didn't have powers. The one who had experience had no powers, and then the other one was an idiot, and then he gets shot in the leg. Mm-hmm. So like it was just Batman like taking action, and it was kind of I like the little nods, like when he's measuring and he's like, how much do you guys all weigh? Because that's a from '89 Batman, he asked how much Vicky Vale weighs before they get zipped up, to one of the balconies with
Yes,
that
yes,
grappling hook.
yes.
And like they had like little nods and little touches that wasn't like in your face annoying, but it was cool. Like they had the Joker
If you
bag.
knew about it, it
Yeah.
was a perfect ode to it.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't like too in your face and it like made sense for the characters. Like the only one that was kind of like, all right, on the nose, like whatever, but it didn't really bother me that much was the you want to get nuts, let's get nuts line. But I think because it was just marked like tailor made for the trailer, I was like, okay, that's obviously the trailer scene because they use it in the trailer and like they obviously like filmed that for the trailer. That's basically its only reason for existing. But like, if it was just in a movie, it was fine. But like I knew it was just like catered made for the trailer. But like Michael Keaton was great. I just like his chemistry with Barry, there wasn't really that much between them. Like he's supposed to be the father.
but
Yeah.
it was
Horrible.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't all the way good either. You could tell,
No, they didn't,
obviously
like,
he
fully
knew,
develop it.
but he, obviously being, Michael Keaton, he was like, I'm not going to just throw everything down the tube because this guy's a complete moron. And he did try his best to make the scenes feel as natural as possible.
Mm-hmm. Like, God, the lightning scene? Like, what the fuck is that?
That was one of my favorite scenes because, and I guess we're going to start talking about things we actually liked. When Michael Keaton started flipping the switch and Ezra was like, do it again. And you can see, like, if he gets, hit again, he's going to die.
Yeah.
Because he's coughing up blood. His body's, got the lightning strike marks that are, infamous for being a lightning strike survivor. And he was like, I was like, oh man, this is actually like some pretty decent acting at this point for once, finally from him. Outside of some of the emotional scenes toward the end, because I did enjoy his emotional.
Yeah, with his mom interactions was good. Like, yeah, all that was good.
And then, also at the end when Young and Old Flat Barry Allen were, doing their super speed sync ups in terms of attack to, fight all the Kryptonians that Zod had. I was like, okay, so he does know how to put on some good action scenes, every kind of little bit here and there. Because when they did, like, when their heels like touched and then like they just sped off and started obliterating everyone, I was like, oh, this is actually good at this point. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah, I like that. Another part about that sequence, like when they're fighting Zod's army, there was no like stakes outside of like obviously the multiverse is going to implode, but like it wasn't like they were just fighting in a desert. It wasn't like there was like in a town or like there's civilians anywhere. It was just like boring desert.
Yeah,
it was just nothing.
Didn't the sequence start off in that one, like in the small desert town, and the freaking wasn't in this Superman, like the Man of Steel, but like that feels like they just moved it from that.
That
little,
was like where the
place.
military was like based.
They just moved it out.
Town.
They were fighting in Area 51.
Okay, I thought it was like a little.
It was just
town
like
more.
a military base, and then but they're not even like near a military base. Like that would have even been something.
It just felt like
they're like at the base.
It
was just like in the middle of the desert, and I think they just did it just to make it as easy to animate as possible. But
even though they did shitty.
Yeah, well, I don't blame the animators for that. I blame the budget. Filming way too many scenes, and probably the animators like, okay, so what should we work on? What's actually going to be in this movie? Because you shot like 5 scenes for the ending. So which one should we put our efforts in? And then there's like weird shots where even if it was in the cockpit and they're on their way to Russia, it was just like a one shot on like the one of the Flashes. I think it was a young Flash in the older Flash's costume, and his face looks super fake. Like I understood why his face would look fake when they had both of them together. But I was like, it's just him in the shot. Why does he look super fucking fake? So I'm like, I was like thinking, I'm like, did they just not shoot that with Ezra Miller, and then they just had to fucking paste his face on his like second unit actor? Like, what was going on with that? Because it was just like a one shot. Like it wasn't like them both together, so it made no sense why it looked terrible.
Well, was it during the time when he went missing? Like that's another like thing. No one could find him for a bit. And like they were still filming.
I
the
don't
freaking
know.
Flash.
I have no idea. I
There's
don't know,
no
Matt.
telling.
You look
Yeah.
like you have more answers than I do.
No.
But there's a lot to take away from this movie, and
yeah, I want to get into the Superman stuff.
I'm glad that this is hopefully going to be Ezra Miller's only time as Flash and last time as Flash. And Josh, you said you wanted to get into the Superman stuff. Go right ahead, take the floor. I didn't mean.
No. I was just saying, like, eventually. No. Go ahead. Like, finish your thought.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, as you know, like I said previously, outside of some of the emotional scenes and a couple of scenes just kind of sporadically paced through the movie, Ezra Miller was not a good actor. He was just like, when I was watching him, I'm like, this is just not who I envisioned as the Flash with this project. No. And I honestly would have just preferred if they used the Flash from the CW show. I do see clips here and there.
Point. Yeah,
and he was,
he's pretty good.
He's a pretty decent actor.
He's definitely a better actor than Ezra Miller for sure.
Yes.
I was actually thinking that too with the ending scene. Like, say instead of they just kept Ben Affleck and then they just show like Barry's point of view the whole time. Like him walking around. And then it's just a wide shot, and then it's fucking Grant Gustin as the Flash, and no one talks. And then that's how they he ran so fast that he fucking changed his face. Like when he comes back.
The funny thing is, like before this movie finally got like I think it was like maybe two seasons ago on the Flash, they did do a crossover with this
It was like
Flash,
and
it was just like bullshit. And it was like. He phases in. He's like, "Who are you? Oh, who are you?" And then it's just like Ezra Miller just phases out, and I'm like,
It was like nothing. I mean, it was cool. It was kind of cool to like even say those universes connected at some point. Like, it's just cool. Like they opened that door through in the show. Like, I thought that was a neat idea, but like, it didn't go anywhere. And like, I almost thought that like, which one was that? That was like a whole. The whole movie thing. What the fuck was that called? With the show. With the cross-dimensional shit.
Oh,
in the Flash.
Shit. Elseworld. I think that one was.
Oh, yeah, Elseworld, whatever. It was like when they're all going into different multiverses, and like they had a Smallville one, and that one was even more bullshit. That one was even fucking worse. So, like, compared to the other one, compared to two, I like that one better. The Smallville one, I hated. I hated the Smallville one. But we could get into that in a whole.
That's another time.
We'll save that for after we have 7 beers in 30 minutes.
Yeah. So I want to talk about all the multiverses. Like Jerry kind of got into it. We see George Reeves. And then I think we see Adam West. We see Jay Garrick.
Adam West Batman.
We see George Reeves, and they have the famous intro, like, "Oh, it's Superman," and like it's the same audio, same everything. And Jay Garrick's like running as the Flash in the center, and then I think we see Adam West Batman, and then we see Chris Reeve and Helen Slater's Supergirl in the same universe, and. With that, I was like, that should have just been Chris Reeve. They shouldn't have put Helen Slater in there. Like, Helen Slater is a great actress. I think she plays Talia al Ghul in Batman the Animated Series. She was great as Talia al Ghul, but that Supergirl movie is garbage. And like, it should have just not been shown. It should have just been Chris Reeve. That was like a little confusing, at least for me. And then they show the Nick Cage Superman cameo when he's fighting a spider, the Superman Lives movie that was never made. That was kind of a neat nod for everyone. People know that story. I mean, like when I first saw it, like it was like, oh, it was like really, it really got me hyped up. And then the second time I saw it, I was like, they're just throwing everything at the wall just to fucking get everyone's favor, you know, like they're trying to get Superman fans like me who like all the old stuff and like the character throughout every generation, and they're trying to get those people. And like it did work for like at least the first time. I was like, yeah, cool. This is the stuff I like. Well, like at the same time, like they're just desperate. It's just like throw it all in there.
They were scraping the bottom of the barrel. I will say, I like that they said, you know, everything does exist within this new canon. Because, you know, I was like, okay, I think that is something nice to do, because this does basically introduce a multiverse. So if they don't at least mention some of the previous projects, I was going to say they kind of squandered a good opportunity, especially, you know, with Adam West passing, you know, in the last few years. I really was, I'm really glad that they did that for him. Because
Imagine if Adam West was still alive and he was the Batman at the end of the movie.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been so good. That would have been perfect.
Wait, when did he pass?
Like say 2017 or something.
Yeah, I think it was 2017 or 2018.
Yeah.
I know
that would have been the move. If like, you know, if Adam West was still around, that would have been great.
That would have been. I am glad that they did that. That was one of the few things I will say that this movie did do justice. They paid credit to every other much more successful project than this. Pile of flaming garbage.
I mean, like there's so much I like about this movie too. That's why it's kind of hard to talk about, because like I think if you just changed like a few elements, this movie could have been like actually good, or like actually
I think this movie would have been DC's like, okay, Marvel, you see that we've done something new again, and it's turned into a really fantastic project. So, you know, we're right on your heels and we're not backing down.
Well,
but with everything,
if it was just a different actor, like if it was just, if Ezra Miller was someone else, that what people would go, you know, DC fans, you know, honestly, like I want this movie to make money, not for Ezra Miller's sake, just for like, you know, future projects' sake. Like I want to see more Michael Keaton. I want to see that stuff. And like, honestly, I think this movie actually works for being a clusterfuck. I think it's actually a decent movie for like all intents and purposes. There are like I said, I think the first like 2 acts work the best. Like that opening sequence is batshit insane. Like I'm not a fan of that. But like after that, you know, once it's kind of just Barry, and then he meets up with his second self, and then he's with Batman. That stuff works. Like the stuff in the middle, I'm like, oh, that's the good stuff, you know.
Just
and then
take away
all the
bread,
meats and
tomato,
stuff,
lettuce. Give me the fucking meat.
Yeah, and then like all the bread, everything that's holding the sandwich together is all moldy and falling apart, and like it's just like, oh, there's almost a good sandwich here, you know. It's almost, and it's just like handed to you, and then it just falls. You're like, oh, I can see I could see what this sandwich was, but like it just fell apart. Oh,
I try to make you a new one. Oh, I can't. We're out of budget.
Yeah, we fucking all the ingredients are on the floor now.
I do agree with Josh. I felt like first, if you like, there's a few key things. If you changed this project, would do a complete 360 and blow almost every recent Marvel project out of the water in terms of vast success. If you change Ezra Miller to a different actor, and if you give this a more concrete plot and not just try to blend things together, because obviously this is supposed to be the Flashpoint paradox. Even if they just use that as, you know, kind of an idea chart, like, okay, we have the Flashpoint paradox. What if we take this concept, but we tweak it a little bit more? Because, I mean, for God's sakes, they still gave us Wonder Woman in the beginning, and in the end, we still see Arthur Curry Aquaman.
Yep.
Why not just, I don't know, bring in the fucking Lantern Corps, because we haven't had anything since the fucking 2011 Ryan Reynolds movie. That would have been cool to see.
Jerry, calm down. Zack Snyder edition.
I do agree with that. I think I think this movie probably wouldn't bend the project to shoehorn like a Green Lantern character just because there's already so much going on. Like maybe if you replace Supergirl entirely with a Green Lantern person, and then the villain would probably have to be different. Then it would have to be I don't know. They don't really have any villains within this universe. Like they fucking had Zod and Steppenwolf, which sucked ass. Like they have nothing. They don't have
Zod has been the best villain in all honesty because the actor for Zod still got it. He still brings that same fuck you energy.
Michael Shannon,
I just loved it. I'm like, yes, he's bringing me all the way back to Man of Steel, where he's about business and nothing but business.
But they reused Zod. Superman. They reused Zod twice because Zod is technically Doomsday.
No, it's not. I should punch you in the face for that, honestly, even though it's true in the movie.
It's like why? Why do we reuse this? So if you think about it now, that doesn't exist anymore, Jerry. Think of that. It doesn't exist anymore because Zod gets the fuck away.
Honestly, I wanna just say about this whole universe, Man of Steel. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of it, I think it worked as a starter movie. I think it would have been fine if they continued on, if they just made individual character movies. So I was like, okay, this is kind of Superman on his first day on a job. He doesn't really know what he's doing, so that's why he's fucking up throughout the whole movie. I'm like, okay, that's fair. The second Man of Steel, he's gonna be Superman, the Superman I want. He's gonna know exactly how to combat and how to be friendly and how to smile and how to be hopeful. And that didn't happen. We got Batman versus Superman, which was even worse. And then after that, this whole universe completely crumbled into itself. They put Gotham next to Metropolis fucking 10 feet away from each other. What the fuck are you doing? And you're making this universe as small as possible. Why are you doing that?
Don't forget, Star Labs is the middle point because everybody just happened to fucking know where Star Labs was. Where Cyborg was.
True.
Yeah, and Superman, why would Superman's jurisdiction just be at Metropolis when fucking Gotham City's right next to it? Why would he go oh, there's a whole shitload of crime going on 10 feet away from my city? I don't know. That's not my job. I'm just gonna fucking stay at Metropolis and fly around in fucking circles. It's so stupid. I hate all that shit. I just wanted to state that because we're talking about this whole universe. That is so dumb. They just made the universe as small as possible. If they had Man of Steel, Wonder Woman was the second movie. Keep that movie, and then even Aquaman. Even though I'm not a fan of the Aquaman movie, I think as a standalone, whatever bullshit, it was fine.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I don't need to see it ever again, but say that was the third one. If they did Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and then Batman
and Cyborg. Give me a Cyborg movie.
Yeah, Cyborg, and then build into a Justice League movie or introduce Cyborg in the Justice League movie because his plot actually connects to the that whole Justice League stuff with the what the fuck is the box called? The Dark Side boom box or whatever. I don't remember, but
the mother box.
Yes.
Yeah.
The mother box.
Mother box. Yeah. Then introduce Cyborg in that movie. Have the Flash movie. And then have the Flash kind of fuck up the universe after that.
At least give me something that's solid to work with, and then you can just absolutely throw gasoline and dead corpses and rotting flesh on it to just make it a seething biological weapon.
So that could have been this. That could have been this movie Flashpoint or whatever. It kind of is the status quo, and then after Justice League, they defeat Darkseid or whatever, and then the Flash decides to fuck up the universe. He's I want to save my mom. We kind of got the Justice League started. We're good. Now I'm going to save my mom and fuck everyone over.
Because if this was me and I was in that and I was helping write this script, I would have definitely put a Green Lantern scene in and at least made, I don't know, I wouldn't personally have used Sinestro for the movie because I think Sinestro wouldn't really fit into what they were going for. I would have personally done Atrocitus because you have a pissed off angry Kryptonian. Why not get another pissed off angry red guy? And that would have maybe have them on like a like a
If there
temporary cooperation. I don't know. Just
if there was
something
a
more.
Green Lantern movie, I would agree with that. But like just shoehorning more characters in this, I think it would have been way too much. It's already too much as it is. Like if there was a Green Lantern movie and then do this, I think that would have been fine with like having Atrocitus and like Green Lantern. It's just almost too many characters to introduce.
Yeah, they put too many irons in the fire, and it didn't have enough time to get to the proper melting point to really give me something to mold and shape into what would be a cohesive piece.
Yeah. Like Torn says they should have kept it more more like the Flashpoint paradox, Atlantis versus Amazon. So yeah, the Atlanteans are having a war with the Amazonians, and at the same time, there's Reverse Flash. There's a lot going on in that movie, and instead of like Superman landing in in that comic, it's a movie too, I guess. But instead of Superman landing in Smallville, he lands in Metropolis, and then that's like the U.S. government takes him in, and then like that dome that Supergirl was in, that's like how they held Superman within the comic book series. So like he's all weak and like sickly and gangly, and he comes out and like he doesn't like when the sun hits his skin, he doesn't just become huge and like Superman. He's still like fucking skinny and rattly, but like he has his powers. He's obviously like a weaker state Superman. So like it would have been kind of cool, like I said, if it was Henry and he's like a weaker state Superman, and then like he's fighting Zod, and since he's been contained in that unit for most of his life, like he wouldn't be able to defeat Zod because he hasn't been gathering in that sun radiation for as long period of time. I think that would have worked. If we should have just had that one swan song, like I said, with Henry, instead of just putting a Supergirl in, because that was another thing they were going to do. They were going to replace Batman and Superman with Supergirl and Batgirl, and then like erase Batman and Superman. They're going to start the universe with Supergirl and Batgirl, and that was a fucking terrible idea. I'm glad that didn't go in fruition, but that was like what they're planning on. That's why they made the Batgirl movie that like hasn't seen the light of day as of recording. It might like in fucking 15 years, who knows? And I think that was I think that's why they had Supergirl in this movie, because that was going to like kind of start the new universe. But now they scratched that because James Gunn is making Superman with a new actor. We didn't get to do BSBS, but I just want to say it now that he announced the new Superman and Lois, who are going to be in the Superman. What is it called? Superman Legacy. So yeah. David, I'm going to say his name wrong. David Cornsweet, something like that. And Rachel, and Rachel Brosnahan. I'm probably saying those names wrong, but those are the new Superman and Lois, and I think they look the part. They're obviously going with a younger Superman. I just hope they don't do the origins again, because we've seen that fucking so many times. Like, at least start. I would hope they just start Superman in Metropolis and kind of like skip most of the Smallville stuff. I don't know. Fingers crossed, because we I don't know. I want to see more of an experienced Superman. I don't need to see Superman like starting again.
We had that for 10 years.
Yeah, we had that for Smallville, and we already had 2 Superman origin movies. Like, I want to see the next chapter. I want to see him be experienced, like be Superman, but I don't know. We'll see. Looks hopeful,
and
I guess.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to go ahead and get into the final thoughts and review, so we can talk about.
We have a whole other movie to talk about.
Another movie.
Yes, I'm ready.
And I'll go ahead and take the reins for this one. I was, I was talking to some coworkers because they know I'm a huge movie guy and I'm a huge superhero fan, and it was like I was telling them, if you just go watch the movie as a casual cinema goer, not knowing anything about Ezra Miller and this whole hodgepodge of a plot, you'll enjoy the movie more than what I did. I definitely told them catch it on matinee because I would not pay full price to go see this movie. I have there are a lot of dislikes I have, but there are also some likes that I have. I do like Ezra Miller's emotional scenes in the movie where he's really giving it his all and he's really portraying the fear the and the necessity of I have to be Flash, I have to fix my wrongs. I did enjoy that very much in the movie. I thought that was a great secondary focal point outside of everything else that was happening. I hope that I don't know what James Gunn is going to plan to do with some of these actors and actresses now. I hope he keeps the actress who played Supergirl. I feel like given a proper script and a good director, she can be any movie she's in will be very good. I did enjoy her. I'm gonna give this movie a 7, and it's a 7 on the lower end. Like I could almost drop it to a 6.5. It's like I said, this is a movie, and even with the hodgepodge of the Flashpoint paradox and them just completely just changing and doing so many different things that were absolutely unnecessary, the product that we got, albeit very raw and unrefined in my opinion, somebody would still find enjoyable.
Yeah, I couldn't really say it much better myself. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't the happiest camper with this one. I wasn't like I'm just gonna go straight to it. I'm gonna give it like maybe like a low 6 for me. I didn't like it at all. It's not like the best thing. It's not. It has some good moments. It had like a bunch of bad moments for me. I didn't care about. I just wish they actually did some things right. I felt like I had 3 movies. They just pasted the fucking together, and I just got what I got. And it's like, oh, we're going with this bullshit. Oh, we're getting actually serious. Oh, we're back in the like, what the fuck endings were going on here? Like all that junk, and then like acting was here and there. I enjoyed like Batman was actually the saving grace at least for me. And then Supergirl, I actually like I'm with Jerry. I actually liked her. I just have one nitpick. I just like I want to know where the fuck they got the suit from, but whatever. They don't explain where the suit. They don't explain.
Oh yeah,
that
no,
at
it was
all.
like laying. It was laying in her cell. It was laying
Was
in
it
the
the
cell.
whole time?
I guess
God.
so. Yeah, they showed it. They showed it and they picked it up.
I didn't. Okay. I must have missed that part then.
Mm-hmm. It's like a one shot, basically.
If you blink, you missed it.
Yeah.
It's very small detail. I didn't want to mention it.
I do agree. I wish she had more screen time and more lines than just like her just like going into action and like we don't know how much years like if she actually learned how to fight or anything or like actually she like had combat lessons and like this was basically her first like fight since she got captured if anything, and she has no like control. Like I feel like if they just like actually gave her like more time to do things, she would actually be a better like person, like fighter and have control. But this time she's berserk because this one person she's supposed to protect after leaving a planet just got freaking murdered by this maniac guy before she even got to find out where the hell he is. Like I get that. I accepted that part, her just going in a rage and fighting him because she just was fucked. This whole thing was fucked up anyway with Zod. It's just like a lot of things. Like the CGI was bad. Like I do. Batman fighting Kryptonians. Me and Josh had this talk before. Batman fighting Kryptonians when he doesn't even know what a Kryptonian is, and he's just lassoing and just doing all crazy shit and blowing people up with that. That just felt weird because like there's no planning for like Batman's about planning. He's about understanding things, and this whole thing he just didn't feel like he grasping. At one point, he blew himself up with his fucking ship to take down Zod's ship.
Yeah, he couldn't eject from his bat.
Yeah, he couldn't. Yeah, it's just like
Mhm.
I don't think Batman would have done that. I don't think he would sacrifice him.
Well, what else could he do? He couldn't fucking. He was gonna die anyway. So he's like,
I don't think his landing gear was that shitty. He could have got out.
I don't know. I thought it was fine because it's like they're just stating like this is the paradox. Like there's no winning.
Yeah,
they're
but-
gonna die regardless.
I don't know, but Flash focused too much on what's it called, the Supergirl anyway, because every time we see him go back in time, it's always him trying to save her. So, it's
Yeah,
just like
why didn't
there's
you want to save Batman?
what?
Why didn't he save Batman?
There could have been other ways, but I did like some of the scores and stuff. The end credit scene was just dumb as fuck, though. We waited too long for it too. It could have been after the doggo falling from the freaking hospital freaking window. Could have been right after that, and then or that could have been shortened, and then that. This movie was just no, including I've been writing all the new stuff too, so that even adds to the factor. So I know what the fuck this thing was all about. And I get the cover-ups they were doing with the director doing because this movie wasn't the best. So I still give it a low 6.
Okay. Yeah. So this movie, I guess they're planning on doing the multiverse for a while now. This I think they had first announced the Flash, I don't know, 2017, like right when the Justice League came out, and that was like their whole plan was to do basically the Flashpoint, So like they're planning on doing the multiverses before Spider-Man came out and like all that stuff came out. Like now it's like a little like too little too late kind of situation, I think Disney already kind of got on that bandwagon and people are already kind of sick of it already.
Even Sony.
So yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, so like the bandwagon's already kind of went by already, and it's just they don't it's just I don't know.
Too little, too late.
Yeah, too little, too late, and I don't know how this is going to connect to the new universe because, like I said, George Clooney isn't going to be Batman, and fucking Ezra Miller isn't going to be Flash. So, like, what are they going to do? How is this even going to connect to the new universe? Tell me, Matt.
Blue Beetle is the first movie, bitch. Watch Blue Beetle.
I don't want to. I'm not too interested in Blue Beetle. I'm just saying, like, how is the Flash going to connect? It still doesn't.
It won't connect because it's stupid. Including they haven't even talked about trashing Ezra Miller yet from the DC universe. They're still haven't greenlit. I don't know.
If they don't, there's going to be a lot of angry people in the world.
Because
that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Like a bunch of fans are boycotting this movie. Like I guess their hate for Ezra Miller is outweighing their love for Michael Keaton. I wanted to see Michael Keaton as Batman, so that was like the biggest selling point. I wanted to see that.
Michael Keaton lived up to all my expectations and more. He's still got it.
I 100% agree. I mostly said everything I needed to say. The only thing was like when like I like the when they get to the paradox and like they're Supergirl and Batman keep dying. It was kind of cool, like showing that like whatever they do, they're not gonna win. So like it was kind of neat, like they kind of lost while winning at the same time. Like this is a paradox; it was always gonna happen, and like the ending scene was cool. Like when Barry just moves the tomato cans up to like the top shelf, and like it was just like a little thing that got his dad. Like his mom still died, and he still had that like last saying goodbye to his mom. And but he got to save his dad. Like he still went through all that traumatic stuff, but like he got to save his dad during that one court hearing. And it was neat. Like that there was actually like they set that up like way in the beginning of the movie, and then it was like fulfilled at the end of the movie. And I thought that was cool. Like that's what I mean. Like there was like points of the movie like where they could have like shown like they really set up and led up, and like the characters had a lot to build up on and had a lot of character development, even like, even the Flashes. Um, that's why I honestly think it was like pretty well directed, all things considering. What the director, what's his name, Andy Muschietti. I don't know, Matt. You're Italian. You could read that. And like like he did really well with like the It movies, and like I think he's a really competent director, and I think the characters like had enough to do and like, enough like character arc to kind of go around and build. But it's just like there was a lot of loose ends and a lot of like too many cooks in the pot. It felt like too many cooks in the kitchen, like putting this together. And that's why I kind of felt like hodgepodge. But like Michael Keaton's Batman scenes were great. Like his fighting scenes. Like they actually got to like do a full out Batman fight with Michael Keaton. Like his action was great. Like they've done a lot more with his action than they could back in '89 or like in that era, and it was cool to kind of utilize that character in like different ways and like actually see Batman like move like that. So now you can't say like Michael Keaton's like the worst fighter out of the Batmans because we got like this movie and he was fucking amazing. And they just like use that technology to enhance that character, and I thought that worked great. And that's what I think they should have been kind of focusing on, was like using the technology and the CGI to like enhance the characters, which they did for the most part, but like at the same time it was like kind of like mishmashy. And like it like I was cool they went to Wayne Manor, and like you got to see like they kind of you could tell the director was trying to film it like Tim Burton, like with the lighting and like just how it looked, and I love like when they're going to Russia and then like the bat plane goes over the moon, and it's like that homage to the first '89 Batman, like he did with the bat plane in that movie. And like Michael Keaton, I think at the end of the movie when he's like fighting the Kryptonians, like in the bat plane, he actually was like keeping up to his own. Like he actually like made a difference in that scene. Like he was, and he put like so many like sticky bombs in that one Kryptonian, and like he's basically getting pummeled, but like he puts that one on that guy's head and like he blows up. And Michael Keaton actually like put up, his end of the battle and his weight into the scene. Like I felt like he put more, like of his own into that scene, into that battle than like Ben Affleck did in the Justice League movie. Like I feel like Ben Affleck did absolutely nothing and didn't like affect any of the characters or like any of the action. He was just like on a sideline with a gun, like, oh, I don't know what to do, fuck. But like Michael Keaton was right in the action, flying around in the bat plane, like he was actually affecting like what was going on, and he actually made a difference. And I thought that was cool because it's hard to put Batman in those scenarios where there's these superpowered beings and like Batman's just a guy. But like I think how they did it with Michael Keaton, the bat plane, and like those sticky bombs, like he was actually effective. Anyway, I give this movie a 6.5.
That's fair. Six and a half, 7. We covered all spectrums. And as we close out, I just wanted to say, with the Kryptonians, I felt like there was one person there who could have killed all of them, but they didn't want to pay that little mouse any fucking money. And that was Tim Curry with Boba Fett. He would have killed all those bastards. And we're going to move into Spiderverse. Crispy, take it away.
Tim Curry. The first time I watched this movie, I was thinking of 7. And then I watched the second time, I'm like, all right, it goes down a half point. Just wanted to state that.
Tom Curry. I said Tim Curry. I meant Tom Curry.
Okay.
Tom Curry.
Who's Tom? Which one's Tom Curry? Oh,
who's Tom Curry?
Oh, the father, the freaking Aquaman's father. They called him, and he's like, "I don't have no. What are you talking about? My dog?
Oh yeah,
Arthur's my dog. Like what the fuck? They literally just took away Aquaman just to make him a dog. Oh god. I'm
really
really
kidding, Crispy. You don't have to do the Spiderverse.
I know, but I blocked that out of my fucking head. That scene was nothing to me. My wife is not a queen. What do you mean? She's just a normal person on the couch. So stupid. Oh god.
But now, everyone, we're gonna talk about a movie that I have more to say about this one just because of things that I've been seeing on social medias. And that is going to be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I'm going to make sure I say the name of this movie right. And so for this movie, we are reintroduced to the older, not the older, but more so the teenage versions of the Spider People. And we see that Spider-Gwen is having issues in her universe with some of her villains. And we see that she's having a problem with her father being the police chief. And there is a point where he has her cornered and she can't get away. So she reveals her secret identity. And that is when, oh God, it's so many Spider People. You just
Spider-Woman?
forgive me if it's
I
this
believe
the
they
Black
showed a
Spider-Woman.
Yeah,
there's a Spider-Woman, but this is a different Spider-Woman. There's too many Spider People.
I know. There's too many.
We run into the Spider People that work with Spider-Man 2099 because they are trying to restrain a Leonardo da Vinci style vulture who was doing a lot of damage, considering that, you know, he was using very outdated like materials as far as weapons.
Yeah.
But he was giving them so much trouble, which I absolutely love. That was a 10 out of 10 fight for me. And then, you know, we get into Miles Morales once more. He's a teenager. He's starting to apply to college. He's still thinking about all the friends that he made in as a child. And he's also thinking about Gwen because he has a really big crush on her. And we see that he's interacting with a villain known as the Spot because he is saying that he is a villain that Miles Morales created, and he is here to take everything from him because Miles took everything that he knew and loved. And so we get reintroduced to the multiverse of Spider People again because Spot uses his, what is it? Those little spots that he has that open those interdimensional portals that let him go to different places along, and he is powering himself up with super colliders. Yeah, black holes. Thank you. He's powering himself up with super colliders from multiple universes to exact his revenge on Miles Morales. And along the way, Miles is being introduced to Michael O'Hara, which is Spider-Man 2099, that is leading a spider society that is trying to fix and save the interconnected web of their multiverse from Spot because of how he is doing things for petty revenge, in my opinion. But along the way, we see that not all is well with every Spider person because Gwen is hiding several facts from Miles, and the main one being that what Spider-Man 2099 calls canon events, Miles Morales was never supposed to exist as a spider person. The spider that bit him was supposed to bite another version of Miles Morales, and his version of Peter Parker was not supposed to die. It was essentially, you know, him saying, Miles, you being a spider person is the biggest, essentially, tear in the time frame of every world, because since you've done that, you've created this all-powerful villain, and it's affecting every other multiverse now. And along the way, we meet a English Spider-Man. They call him Spider-Punk. His name is Hobie. We run into Spider-Ham again, Peter B. Parker, who actually has a young daughter now, who is also a spider person. We also see just more diverse and interesting spider people. And along the way, Miles is saying to Spider-Man 2099 that, hey, I'm a spider person too. You know, I want in on the team. I want to, you know, make a difference, because that's what every other spider person in Into the Spider-Verse told Miles. you can't save everyone, and you have these powers as a great responsibility and a gift. So you must use them to protect the innocent, protect the weak, and do what you can to make society a better place. In Spider-Man fashion. But Spider-Man 2099 begins to shift and essentially try to isolate Miles Morales by locking him up in one of his interdimensional prisons, which has small and close tie-ins with other cartoons, some of the live-action Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland, which was very interesting to see because the actor Dan is it Danny Glover or Donald Glover? Donald. Okay, thank you. I always get the two mixed up because of the same last name. With Donald Glover, who is playing Prowler, which was interesting because of in Tom Holland's second Spider-Man, we see him and he tells him, "Oh, my nephew's a big fan of yours," which was, I guess, his going to be introduction into the Spiderverse. And along the way, Miles is going through a big identity crisis where he's like, well, if I'm not supposed to be Spider-Man, who is? But then at the end of the day, when he figures out that Gwen has been lying to him along with some of his other Spider friends, he's like, no, if y'all were my friends, y'all would have told me, y'all would have confided this information to me. And then he said, I'm a Spider-Man just as much as any of the rest of you. And a large chase ensues where he's trying to get back to his home dimension. And there is a spider person who's using a hologram. Yes, she's using a hologram to kind of, interact with the multiverse. And unbeknownst to her, Miles uses his invisibility power to go home, so to speak. But the machine that sends people back to their proper dimensions does is it reads his genetic code and it sends him to universe Earth 42, I believe it was. Yep. Yes, thank you. And there we see that not everything is what Miles knew it to be true. Instead of it being his uncle Aaron that is passed, it is his father, and it is his uncle Aaron and an alternate version of Miles taking care of his mother, where Miles Morales is the acting Prowler of this universe. And there's a big shift where this Miles, I'm going to say this, and I don't want it to sound, as I'm trying to flip him being biracial, but the Miles that we see that's acting as the Prowler is more black. He's, he has his hair in, braids and cornrows. He talks more in slang, and he has more of a thuggish attitude about him.
He sounds more Dominican than than Brooklyn accent. For sure.
And that was the first part of this 2-part movie. And I just want to say, comparatively, I think this movie, compared to The Flash and several other Marvel projects, I'm not going to include Guardians 3 because I haven't had the chance to see that yet. Josh, please forgive me.
That was good.
I think that this project is vastly better in several fashions, because I like personally how they did their version of the multiverse, because they are actually using, the web of a spider to signify how if you do something to affect this universe, it's going to affect every single other universe in an unraveling chain. And that's never been something I've seen, Marvel kind of do when they first introduced the multiverse in what movie was that?
Spider-Man?
Doctor Strange.
I didn't see that yet.
Madness one? God.
It was okay. I'm a Doctor Strange fan. I wasn't a big fan of how they did that.
I did want to watch it. I think I started to watch and I fell asleep. That's what happened. And
I like the horror setup in it. I like that part, like those parts, and like everything else is kind of like, eh.
Are you talking about the second Doctor Strange or the first one?
Second one. Second Doctor
Strange. Oh, I did. I have seen the second one. I haven't finish the first one. That's the first one I fell asleep.
Okay.
Let's
But
just to clarify.
I love that this movie focuses on Miles, some of his racial aspects, because when the scene where his parents are waiting for him and they're talking to the counselor, and when Miles finally does show up, his mother and him are both speaking in Spanish, making reference to his Latin American roots.
Mhm.
I thought that was a great nod to do, especially because a lot of times when a character is biracial in a movie, or even in kind of an animated piece of media, they don't really address it too much. And other times they'll just strictly focus on, okay, this character is this, so we're gonna just roll with it and forget everything else. And I like that Miles not only is having his identity crisis with being a Spider-Man, but he's also going through it with his parents, because his dad is going to be promoted to the captain of police. Am I correct on that one, Crispy?
Well, yeah, he's gonna
Yes.
become the captain.
Yeah, his dad is getting promoted to captain, and so obviously, as a Spider-Man, Miles is incredibly smart. He's incredibly gifted. So his parents have all these different expectations for him, but with the curse of being a Spider-Man, he's living a double life that his parents don't know of. And the only people who really understood and connected with him are all living their own lives that he has no idea. Some people's lives have been turned upside down. Some people's lives have been drastically blessed, like with Peter B. Parker, who has a daughter now, and how Michael O'Hara, which is Spider-Man 2099, is leading a whole society of other spider people to try to stop this one villain from going through the entire multiverse and essentially causing an end of everything.
Well, don't forget, Miles did was it Peter B. Parker actually said that meeting Miles actually changed his life even more. So that's why he even
Yes.
has a kid. So that's a nice thing that came out of this movie, that he was Miles actually helped another Spider-Man from the last one expired. Then embraced actually making a family instead of just going down a path of just where he was going in the first movie, was shit. So he actually cleaned up.
Yes, I do like how you see people's personal progress, because I was wondering, I wonder if they're going to kind of make mention to Peter B. Parker getting back together with Mary Jane again, especially at the end of Into the Spider-Verse, where you see
Mm-hmm.
he shows up to her residence and he's going to try to fix his marriage and kind of absolve things and try to, make things right what he can. And obviously he did do it because they're back together, they're happily married, and they have a beautiful young daughter who is a spider person in training.
Yeah. The spider. That was one of my nitpicks. I like the the daughter and everything, but I was hoping for Peter B. Parker to leave the kid once he was at the house home and not take her into the next movie. You see,
Yeah.
then there. I was hoping for.
I agree.
You
I
couldn't
agree
really
with
get rid of him for the whole movie. The whole movie, she was with him. Couldn't really do anything about that. I can't nitpick that, but at once he's at the house with Mary Jane and he's putting the baby down and everything, all right. Then he gets the call to go into action. He's I was hoping for him, don't tell your mother. And they're he just jumps out the window. He just forgets the kid and just goes and does his thing and grabs his mask and goes for the freaking going to duty on that and everything. But no, I was hoping not that wasn't gonna be a thing. But what did you notice the change? I want to change to you know the character Penny, the one with the robotic mech.
Yeah.
Yes, the robotic spider.
Yeah, you noticed the change, right?
I
her
did, but I
voice?
couldn't put my finger on it.
So
Did her voice change, or was it the design of her character that changed?
No, well, she's a little bit older now, but the what's it called? The robot changed because there is they had a side comic for her and the side comic actually breaks down more into her character, where this mech was supposed to be for her father, then she gets it, but then later on they end up having meeting this other girl that has her own mech that's Venom's mech, where they had to upgrade her mech basically to fight against the Venom mech, but the Venom mech had the symbiote that took over freaking this girl that she knew, the body and everything, and did the whole takeover shit. And in the midst of that, freaking Aunt May actually dies because she ends up trying to save the kid, including she's the kid
In the
that
movie, she moves away. She moves to Florida.
what?
In the
No,
movie,
no,
she
no, no,
moves
no,
to
no, no.
Florida.
Different. This is Penny's universe. So like she gets this new mech because of this Venom issue that she had. It's fucking weird. In her universe, that's what happened. That's why she has a newer mech in this one because that one
I
was
didn't really
slightly
pay the mech too
taller.
much attention.
The mech in this
That's
one was
useful to
slightly
know.
taller.
He was in it for like 2 seconds. She was in the movie for like
I know,
2
but like
seconds.
it's something they branched outwards on, and I kind of noticed it myself because I like mechs and everything, so it was neat. Including it was a
I did
different
not pay
design
that any
because there's
attention.
more of a
I'm
ball.
gonna have to rewatch that and look.
Because in the first movie, she was more of that robot's more bally and friendly, and this one was just straight on like Elon Gilligan shit. I was like, okay, this is different.
That's way
But
different. Okay, I didn't notice that.
and then we didn't have any talking from Spider-Man Noir Spider-Man because Nicolas Cage
Yeah,
never
he didn't
jumped
show
on
up
this
until the
project.
very end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why wasn't Nick Cage in this movie?
I
I honestly have no idea.
I think he had a different project at the time, so he didn't do it. So I
Hmm.
think he may jump on for the third one. But before I keep going, fun fact: this movie still made more money, and its last freaking for his last I think his fourth or fifth weekend than all the
Mhm.
other blockbusters that was in line. It still made more money than everyone else. It's freaking
Hmm.
nuts.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. And this does fall into part of what I have to get into earlier. It doesn't have to do so much with the movie. It has to do so much with how other people are receiving it. But I've seen people say nothing but just overwhelmingly positive things about the movie. And I've seen some other things that I'll get into more so toward the end of the episode. But it's been like everybody I know that's seen it was like this movie was like the movie of the summer. It was a phenomenal film to open up the summer blockbusters.
Not gonna lie, I do agree. It did really well. It had, other than like for me, the pacing was weird with it. Like
I agree with that.
it did a nice little like the weird pacing of it. Like I was like, okay, but at least they explained everything pretty well and like try to get you on board. But we get cut off at the end, so like it kind of just leaves us hanging there. That's like my only like real biggest issue is that we just get a chop. Well, right when we're about to jump right into the action. I don't know, Josh. How do you feel about that pacing?
Yeah, I thought the pacing was a little odd. I mean, like the build up, like it was kind of cool. They opened the movie with like Gwen Stacy's point of view. Just like change it up and switch it up. I almost felt like that was a little too long, like the opening with Gwen Stacy. I think they could have kind of like narrowed it down a little bit and got to Miles a little quicker, just because his stuff is like the more entwined with the main plot of the movie. Like it's cool that we caught up with Gwen, but I think we could have kind of like cut it down a little bit. Um, what else? Like I didn't know this movie was a two-parter. First of all, I had no idea. And then, like, when the movie ended, like, it felt like the momentum was just getting good. I was just getting interested and just getting started. And then the movie ends. It's like, oh, what the fuck? I was like, what the hell? Because it was like building up to like something was going on. Like, honestly, I didn't really feel like I didn't really feel the runtime like watching it. I noticed that there's like the pacing was kind of odd, but like it didn't feel like it was long. But, like, I felt like the movie was gonna kinda keep going. I didn't expect it to end, like, as abruptly as it did. Um, I had no idea this was, like, a two-parter thing. It felt like almost Desolation of Smog kinda thing. And, like, I don't know how they're gonna make a whole movie because it seems like what they're building up towards was, like, a 3rd act conclusion thing, It didn't seem like it was, like, opening up for a whole other movie, at least to me, like, it just
Mhm.
seemed like there was just a 3rd act that was just waiting to be finished.
That
So
Oh
sounds
I
no,
don't
I
know what they're
understand
gonna
completely what you
I
mean.
don't know what they're gonna do with the next movie, Like, obviously, they're gonna conclude that, but is it gonna be enough for a whole feature length film? They're
It
not they're go obviously gonna have to add something 'cause I don't know.
I know me and Crispy have been bouncing around ideas, just
Mhm.
kind of based off what we've seen in the movie and just our personal guesses. But I do agree with what both of you are saying about the pacing. It was in some moments I was like, okay, I like that this is here in the plot of it, but I feel like it's taken away too much, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Especially with, what you said about Gwen Stacy, because I did enjoy how we got her personal point of view and we concluded and wrapped that up in this movie. I'm glad they didn't split that up, especially because, an idea that I have is that the Spider people are gonna not essentially turn on Spider-Man 2099, but they're going to rally behind Miles and see like he's a Spider-Man just as much as the rest of us and he needs our help. But it was definitely some points of the movie I was, especially toward the end, I'm like, okay, they're finally getting a good pace going. It's, re-engaging a lot of things that I wanted. And then boom, we get the ending. Like Josh said, it was that 3rd act that was waiting to begin. It was just kind of cut off. And I feel like when the second part of this movie, Beyond the Spider-Verse, releases next year, they're gonna have to. I think they're gonna, immediately open up with where the movie concluded, and they're gonna have to start right on 10 and just kind of go through the motions because the point that they ended on is such a big, kind of cliffhanger. I feel like if they try to open it with a slower pace, it's going to not necessarily do bad, but it's going to lose a lot of audience very quickly into the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I
Mhm.
like the villain. I like how he just, like, starts out as, like, a B Spider-Man character, like, villain. You don't think he's gonna be part of the main plot, like, he's just robbing a ATM machine from a convenience store, and then, like, you think it's just, like, something to kinda just get the action started, but, like, it turns out he's, like, a main essential character, and I like his look, his design. He looked almost like kinda like the Slender Man or something, like the early drawings and shit. Like,
Yeah,
I like his design.
that's what I was thinking the same thing. I'm glad he was also more than just a freak of the week cuz I was like,
Yeah.
I'm hoping he's going to, especially with like, his power. I was like, "Oh, I hope he turns into something a little bit more." I'm glad he turned into, a main villain
Yeah, and then,
because
like
definitely the antimatter black holes that he's using to cross the dimensions and essentially rewrite the fabric of reality. I'm like, oh, this is fucking cool to have a teenager deal with somebody who is essentially, you know, on the planes of being a demigod in terms of what they can do with their abilities. And they're going to have to deal with this in such a way that it's either going to make them as a superhero or it's going to break them as a person because there's going to either be, that one Spider-Man death that he's never going to be able to save, or it's going to be that one person that, no matter how hard he tried, it was never going to work out in the end.
yeah. I like okay, so I like, what's the 2099 Spider-Man's name? What's his name?
Michael O'Hara.
Okay. I'm not gonna remember that. So 2099,
That's why I just
um
call him 2099.
yeah. So 2099, like, I like how his character is basically like, you can't break canon. Like, this is how it is. Because, like, it's almost like a perspective on, like, the Spider-Man fans are, like, so hardcore. Like, this is how Spider-Man is, and you can't break. It's almost like a meta commentary on that, which I kind of like, but it's not like too on the nose and in your face. What's the Spider-Man? They go. What's the yo-yo Spider-Man? What's his name?
God.
I know
I
what you're talking
can't.
about. I can't think of his name.
I forget the country too. Like what country he is in.
He's in Mumbai, New York, I believe it was.
He's in New York. That was not New York. Was that New York?
Yeah,
that was New York.
What the
That was New York.
It's
Obviously
his
with
universe.
a lot of Indian,
Yes.
Indian aspects drawn into it.
Okay. I didn't know that. I thought it was like a completely different place. All right, interesting. Well, with that Spider-Man, like I I don't really understand why all the Spider-Mans went to his universe. I know like, there's going to be people dying and like, like the chief in that universe was supposed to die. So like if they didn't even go there, he would have died. So like the canon would have been fine. So like why did they go there?
They went back there.
They were
because
there
Spot.
because Spot was there to use the super collider to finish upgrading his power.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what he had been doing. He was using the
forgot
different
about that.
super colliders that that Kingpin had made, to get his family back after losing them.
Right. Okay, that's fair. Okay.
Yeah, and he
yeah.
I
flipped
just
That makes
rewatched
sense now.
Into the Spider-Verse. That's why I remember that.
It was
Yeah,
okay. That was that. I was a little confused on that. Now I remember because it didn't seem like the plot. It almost seemed like the plot just happened at that moment, just because he saved that one person.
No. Spot
Yeah.
went
Kind of-
there, and then Gwen went to that universe to
Right.
stop him there. Then Miles followed her
Miles
into the
followed
portal,
her, right?
and
I think
then
I
we
went to
meet
the
that
bathroom at
universe
that point,
Spider-Man.
too.
And then we meet that Spider-Man. And then at the same time, as we're doing all of this nonsense, they're like Spot's behind that giant the electric wall, and Miles is trying to break into it because his electric powers. He's
Yeah,
trying
I
to take in the
remember that.
power, the electric, and then Hobie
Hobie,
comes in,
that's
just
his name,
like
Hobie.
fuck this shit, and just busts right through. And that's Spider-Punk. So
That's
Right.
the
yeah.
English Spider-Man.
Yep.
And then he just like kind of quits. He's like, "Peace out, deuces." He kind of quits as being a Spider-Verse.
Yeah, that's at the end. But I don't
Yep.
think we have seen the end of him yet because of
Well,
what
he's
he's
definitely
I
gonna
think he's-
show up again, but like it was just
Yeah.
kind of like it was just kind of. I mean, I guess it was punk of him to quit, but it like kind of seemed
Yeah.
like out of nowhere that he just like, "Yep, I'm done." Like, bye.
If you notice him throughout the whole movie, he's reading the room every time. Like he's analyzing the whole situation. He's not being just like a stuck up, like I'm just gonna sit in the corner. He's
Yeah,
literally paying
listen.
attention to everybody and seeing
Mhm.
everybody's point of view. And he's like, I just don't want to be here with all you guys because all you guys are just fighting each other on every point of view. This is not my scene. So
Yeah.
he pulled out for a good reason, not to fall into it, but he was on their side, so that's a good thing. He did see that their side was a lot better than Michael's, and that's why he made the freaking his own dimension jumper. So, and I have a feeling like in the third movie he's gonna show up like last like in somewhere in like the end battle scene or some shit, be like to help out, just to add more chaos to the battle.
Yeah,
cool.
definitely Spider-Punk he's in this movie they made him very much an enigma because even as an audience viewer, it was very hard for me to figure out what his motive and his end goal was.
Mm-hmm.
But the more, we saw him interact with Spider-Gwen, Miles, and some of the other Spider people that he genuinely, was friendly with, you could tell, okay, he has his select few people that he interacts with, and you could tell he cares deeply for, especially when he taught Miles, the trick to use the energy absorption. He's like, use your fingertips to absorb and then redirect all that energy, which, did come in handy when Miles used it to save his life later on.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely agree with Crispy that Spider-Punk is going to be more of a driving force for, being that background player of not so much the gadgets, but coming up with those last minute saves that people are going to be desperate to try to pull off. especially when it was toward the end when he used his dimension jumper. Was like, yeah, you can keep this, and by the way, I quit. And he went back to his home dimension, but you could see, even though he was backing off, he was making sure that he gave Gwen his makeshift dimension hopper so she could save Miles, because he knew how much Gwen cared for him as a friend, maybe a potential romantic partner. It's very hard to read Gwen because she had a lot of turmoil going on between her and her father, and also having to relive the tragedy of her Peter Parker dying, and she was unable to save him.
Yeah, she's like into Spider-Punk and Miles, so it's like, who's she gonna end up with? I don't know. You gotta watch the next movie, right, Matt? Matt looks ready.
God.
But it was. Oh, go ahead, Crispin.
I just want to before we jump off the top. Okay, before we jump off the topic of like Spider-Punk.
Oh, this is weird.
Did you know? Like, I like how his character. It wasn't like how everyone else's character. He had the border and everything on him. Like, they stuck with everyone else in the universe. Kind of had like the same dimension set. Like, they're in the same universe. It felt like their design was meant to be there, but they had like a different.
They definitely made him stand out in his own way.
Like everyone else has had the detail changes on them, but what? Yeah, I like that too. I was hoping they were gonna.
Yeah,
I was hoping
those were two of my favorite designs. Oh, you said what, Crispy?
I was hoping for them to keep doing that, like them, like whatever, like art style that they kind of came out, like the border of that style would like stick around a little bit. I know, but like it would be like a little bit, like a little
clashing.
Crashing. Yeah, it would be an issue, but like with certain like people, like what's it called? Was it the Scarlet Spider? Which was the one with the red suit with the red? Was it the
Ben Riley?
The red suit with the blue hoodie? Yeah, like his like. I was like he had like the different art style detail that was nice.
Yeah, I liked his.
That.
I always liked that design, that Spider-Man design. Ben Riley Spider-Man. I don't know much about the character. I never read it, but like I always liked that costume. But like they made him like super whiny in this movie. I don't know if that's how he is in the comic. And if he is, that makes me not want to read it. I just like the costume.
There's too many Spider people for me to want to get into Spider-Man, and I don't think Spider-Man's all that. Just because I know a lot of real diehard Spider-Man fans, and they just kind of turned me off of him.
I like Spider-Man, but like I understand that with the diehard Spider-Mans, because I remember telling a lot of Spider-Man fans I was a Superman fan. They're like, "Oh, well, you know," they give me like all this crap. I'm like, okay, cool.
If Spider-Man's so good, why is Uncle Ben fucking dead?
I mean, I like Spider-Man.
I like Spider-Man.
There's fans like that in every sector. You know, like Batman. Fans are always like, "Oh, Batman will win against any fight against any superhero." Like, it's so stupid. I mean, that's with everyone. So like, there's always going to be those fans. I think it's cool that everyone has their unique superheroes that they're into, because everyone has different personalities, and that's what makes people interesting is the differences. So like, if everyone was the same, then it'd be really boring. So I think that's something people need to learn and like, say, but like I don't know. I like Spider-Man a lot. Spider-Man's definitely like top 3 superheroes for me. It's like Superman, Batman, and then Spider-Man is like right there. And like,
I can agree with that. Even though I don't like him, I do give him, the respect he deserves, because Spider-Man is that kind. He's that hometown hero. Like at the end of the day, Spider-Man is, just as, normal as I am, in that he's gonna make mistakes. Even though he's super powered, that doesn't mean he's, always going to be able to do what has to be done. And he's going to have those tough questions like, did I do what's right? Am I going to always be able to make that, last minute save? Or am I going to, have that one person that I'm going to always just miss? Like when Spider-Ham told him, you can't save everybody, Miles. Mm-hmm. And I think that was... I was sad that Spider-Ham wasn't in here, because I did enjoy him in the first movie. But it was
for 5 seconds.
But it was there's just a lot of things in this movie that's just there's so much that they put in it that there's a lot to dissect and just
I
break
feel like
apart.
you almost got to watch it twice to like get it all the references. Like I like the Spider-Man, what is it, 60, 60s
Oh, and he
cartoon,
swings on
the
by.
Yeah,
cameo,
the
and then
60s.
like the one frame, and he kicks out, and then he completely misses. Like that was cool. I think Matt, you even said this. There was like too many Spider-Man people.
There
Like
was
to
over.
focus
Yeah.
on. It was overwhelming. Like I think
they mentioned
I
it was
think like
50.
2 dozen would have been a perfect number. So it would have been enough for like to face off Miles, but like for Miles to like
It was like
outcompete.
every
Yeah,
incarnation of
for him to
Spider-Man, and
outcompete thousands of Spider-Man, I'm like, this is over the top. Like, there's no like, just the numbers alone would take him out. I understand like he's supposed to be kind of different and all that, but like, it was a lot. There was like
no,
fucking
definitely, and
1,000.
that is a major complaint because I said this even back during the I don't even remember what Tom Holland's last Spider-Man was, but I know I said that when we did
No
that
Way Home.
episode. It was just there was too much going on in terms of just Spider-Man. Like for this one, there were just too many Spider people, just outright. It was, for every dimension there's a Spider-Man, so they had at least fucking an army of 50,000 at a minimum that was, visible on screen. Especially during that train sequence where Spider-Man 2099 was chasing Miles and he was telling him, you're not Spider-Man, you're not supposed to exist, you are a glitch in the canon, and I'm gonna fix you. And well, I guess this is as good a time as any to get into the first tidbit of some of the nitpicks I have, not so much with the movie, because the movie was phenomenal. I love the movie. It's with how people received the movie. I've been seeing people online saying that Spider-Man 2099 is racist and he has issues with Miles. And I told this to Crispy after you guys had saw it last Friday. And I was like, I told
we
him,
had like 20 minutes.
That is literally, I said, that is the most ignorant thing that anyone can do. And it was, other Black and African American, content creators and, people talking about the video. And we literally said the whole point that Spider-Man 2099 made to Miles was that him becoming a Spider-Man was a complete freak accident and it threw off everything in the multiverse, and him existing is just going to keep causing problems to persist and go on. It doesn't have anything to do with him being, biracial. It doesn't have anything to do with who he is as a person. It's just the fact that Miles Morales, a just regular kid in person, became a Spider-Man in a very freak fashion that was supposed to go to someone else. And it just some of the things I've seen people say, I'm not going to get too much into it because it does make me very upset that people would feel this way, especially with how clear cut they made his motives, especially when he said, I've seen what happens when you break canon. And they're just completely glancing over that to go for, you know what? I'll be able to get several million views and several million likes if I just talk about how this one character is a racist with no potential bias.
That's dumb. I didn't know people were doing that.
Yeah, people are also saying something else that I'll get into in my final thoughts and review. Just because honestly, that's another hot button for me.
Yeah. I honestly like that stuff is not even like worth getting into at the same time because like people are just stupid and they have stupid takes and like that's what they want is attention for idiocracy.
Yeah. And it just, for me, Michael O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099 is another, I'm not going to call him so much a villain, but I'm going to call him a villain in the terms of ideology.
It's an asshole.
With Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Because his whole thing is Spider-Man has to be, like you said, he has to be one thing and it can't deviate at all. and he's telling him, "You're different. You're not what Spider-Man is supposed to be. You stopped an important death from making a Spider-Man a Spider-Man. And so now, because you did that, everything that we know and we trust as far as, kind of martial law is unraveling and we don't know what to do with it." And for me, that was, I love someone who challenges another character's ideology. I think that's such, a great mind game to get into, because then, it forces me to go as a viewer and think, well, you know what? He does have a good point. Even though Miles is a great Spider-Man, he's done so many good things. In the respect of other Spider-Men, Miles Morales is kind of the odd duck out. And so, sometimes there's going to be things that Miles does that another Spider-Man can't do, and it's going to leave a lasting impact.
True.
I know that was a lot. I'm sorry. It just
No,
thinking about
I
that
agree.
No, but like
No,
if you think about it, even like with the, I'm not gonna jump into all what you just said with the, but so that was a lot.
Why? You already said it, man.
I know, but no,
to.
with Michael being super heavily on canon, making everything canon wise, because he did the biggest fucking canon fuck up for himself. He deleted a universe.
Yeah,
because he wanted to be with a family. He wanted to be with a family so much with this, how his that universe, him dies. No one knows he dies, and he just basically just like takes that family over without knowing what the fuck happened to the original him. What did he do with that body? That's one thing I'm wondering what they're like going on with that.
I think he just kind of threw it in a ditch.
Because like, wouldn't somebody discovered him and like all that junk, and like then they're like, "Who the fuck are you?"
He's Spider-Man 2099. He
I
probably
know.
ate the body.
Oh my god!
With his fangs, because he has fangs.
I know. There's multiple times we wanted to use those fangs, and he doesn't get the chance to use them at all. Oh god, he is a train he's a train wreck of a character, a little like a little bit. Like, he just doesn't, like, he's trying to be the good guy, like you say, and just being the villain. It's just like a lot is happening with him, a lot of different motives. But I want to know what they're going to do with his motives in the third one now. If they're going to continue, is he even going to just continue onward, going after Miles? That character is just like, it just feels like his character's been like, what's it called? So driven to make everything right. I watched one guy, like one review guy actually, like bring up something about him. If you watch the original, the first one, and you get to his cutscene, his costume's different and he's slimmer.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him in this one. I didn't pay that attention. I didn't really.
Yeah, in this one he's a fucking beefcake.
Bulky, his costume's different.
Yeah.
Like, you can see what happened.
Yeah, you can tell he grew up a bit. He has more muscle. I noticed that.
Josh, I know me and Chris have been saying a lot. Is there anything you kind of want to throw in the mix?
I thought the parent dynamic was pretty good, like Miles's parents and like how they want to ground him and they don't know what's going on, and Gwen is having, second thoughts about telling her dad, and she's basically, Miles ready to tell his parents that he's Spider-Man. She's like basically pulling him from the edge, go like, no, don't tell him. It's very bad. And she reconciles with her father. So like, I think it would make sense that he's going to tell him, at least in the next movie. Like, he was going to tell them when he got back home. But it was a different universe. So it'll be interesting how he fixes this universe, with the Prowler, him as the Prowler, and what goes on with that, and then like also save his dad in his actual world. So that'll be interesting. Maybe since they have those two things going on, that maybe they might have enough for a next movie. I mean, I'm sure they have a plan and it's going to be good. But that ending like threw me off so much that I was like, "What the fuck?" It almost felt like Desolation of Smog, like when the dragon's released and about to kill the whole town, that they just like rip the carpet underneath you. It's like, "Oh, till next movie, fuck you," you know. It felt I got a little vibe of that. It felt like that, and like I was like, "Oh, what the hell?" Like I had no idea. I had no idea it was a second.
Mm.
There was a second part. I always feel like it
Mhm.
should say part 1, just so people wouldn't get confused about that, because, like, they could have done that with the Harry Potter movies, but they at least had part 1 and part 2 with whatever the last one was. I don't remember the title.
Deathly Stupid.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
Deathly Hallows.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but like the thing is, they're changing the stupid name. They're changing the name on it, so it's like it's not getting the same title. So like,
Yeah,
you
but
can't
it should
do
be
it.
at least be part 1, part 2.
Yeah,
It
but like
should
if
say it,
Yeah, I
like,
do agree
in
with
very
that
small
because
font.
it's, obviously you can tell it's going to lead into the next one. So it's, in terms of story, even changing the title, it should be a part 1, part 2, because I
I
feel
think
like
it
that
could
is leading people astray, like thinking, oh, I
Yeah,
don't need to watch the first one to understand what's going on in this one. And when
exactly.
the third one comes out, I just
Yeah,
need to
it's gonna be
watch
kinda
like the last
confusing.
30 minutes of the second one to
They
understand this
could
one.
they could keep the different titles. I think it should still say part 1, part 2. Like, it could be like part 2 has the other title, like, who cares? I think that would have been helpful for average going movie audiences. It would have been helpful for me because I wouldn't have been, like, as moaning as much at the end of the movie.
Jerry, we didn't stay for the ending. Like the end credit scene stuff. Was
Oh,
there end
yeah,
credit
was
scene
there
stuff?
anything?
Um,
Did they play into Across the Universe for the
Oh my
end
god.
credits?
I stayed. Did we? I can't even remember because I've had a lot of work stuff go on, and that in itself is another can of worms I'd rather not get into right now. I don't remember what it was. I was gonna try to rewatch it on YouTube before we started recording, but I didn't make the time to do it, so I'm probably gonna do it afterwards. But I don't think it was honestly too relevant to the story.
Well, I saw it, and it was Toby Maguire, like, jumps in the Spiderverse, and then he's like, "Oh, I don't belong here," and then he leaves and gets pizza. Right, Matt?
Yeah. Pizza time. Always. No, I looked up the what's it called in the post credit scene, and it's the one thing I was mostly annoyed of is the what's it called? The no, that's the freaking nope, that's different one. Nope. It
Different.
shows it was nothing. I was watching basically the post credit scene for the wrong movie because someone
Hmm.
wrote the title wrong. But there was one character I kind of got annoyed of was the AI unit they had.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was
I
like
wasn't
the
Oh
interested
yeah.
either.
Jarvis. She was annoying. I'm not gonna lie. She didn't. The way she helped was kind of like an ass. Like she's like, I'll help you. You should know this though." No, but either way, I did get annoyed at that.
Yeah,
That
I did
character
get
kind of
annoyed with
annoyed
her
me.
because she was like, I don't mind a character that's snappy witted and snarky,
Hmm.
but she was too snarky for me.
Yeah, she didn't tone it down at all. Like she just kept on going. They like it didn't even matter at any opponent. Like any time in the movie's tempo, like whatever, like what the scene's doing. She's like, "Yeah, this is me. I'm here. Hi. All right." And I'm like, "Okay, cool for you. Go away now." And then shoot, I have one other nitpick before we go anywhere. I just
If
didn't.
you
I
want to go ahead and
wish.
do your nitpick,
I know.
because I think this is, I think we've said enough about the
Yeah,
movie
Yeah.
because
I said mostly
there's just
everything
so
I needed to
yeah.
much.
say,
I
yeah.
basically said everything I need to say too with this movie. Is just like I don't know why they made the decision with Spider-Woman having to be pregnant.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Yeah,
either. That baby
that's a
died.
big nitpick for me because even as a Spider person, she is pregnant and she is hellified pregnant at that.
Yeah, she's like at
She
least
killed her
7 months
baby.
in. Oh my god.
When-
Like it's just
she-
like
when
her-
she landed on that wall, she smushed her
I
stomach.
it's like the character was fine. I liked the character, liked her design and everything. The motorcycle was cool. It was like a nice little like
Motorcycle was badass.
Tibbet.
I love that.
It was a
I
nice
thought the
tidbit to,
character
like, the
was
toys.
okay. I wasn't like super into her. She was probably my least favorite out of like all the ones that were introduced, to be honest.
But it's just
Like out of
why
the
does
ones that
she-
had actual dialogue, she was my least.
Oh, you mean out of the 30 spider people that talked?
Yeah. I like the
Oh my
cowboy
God.
one more than her. He had 2 lines.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, talk.
Oh god. All right. So, but like that's I don't that's like I didn't like other than pacing and all that stuff and nitpicks, other than what's it called? Spider-Woman being pregnant, freaking the AI thingy. Everybody else I kind of enjoyed. The multiple Spider people is just like overwhelming the screen. That was a lot. I kind of just want to know like now I just want to go and find a website of someone breaking down like each character model to see what it was like
I
what
don't
we
want
had.
to do that.
God,
I
that's
kinda
so
do.
much.
That is a lot.
Like,
I don't want to do that.
It's so,
That just
like
doesn't
I'll
sound
probably
fun.
watch the movie on ×2 speed and just go and see. Okay, this is someone from Earth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one from 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah,
and this
they
one
had
from 4, 4, 4.
spectacular. They had spectacular Spider-Man in there from the cartoon.
Oh yeah, they sure did.
He had a line, I think.
I think he
It-
had 2 lines,
yeah.
maybe 3.
He
Not much though. Not much.
and they did talk about like Doctor Strange and like Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland's like hiccup, which was kind of
Yep.
cool that they connected that to like the multiverse or whatever. That was cool. Oh yeah, they had Jimmy
Oh, yeah,
Jazz
they
says they
did.
had the PS4 Spider-Man in there.
Yep.
Yeah, he
They had
was
them
in there.
I think
earlier-
that's crazy. They brought
They had
a
him-
video game Spider-Man in
Yeah,
there.
they had that in the beginning. The Miles'
They should have
roommates
added
playing
Atari Spider-Man.
it. Atari Spider-Man.
Or it's just a stick
Oh god.
figure.
Fuck it.
Matt,
Adam.
explain that whole situation with the Lego scene.
Oh god, the Lego scene was actually filmed by a 14-year-old because he actually recreated the whole into the Across the Spider-Verse trailer with Legos. And they actually saw it and they said, "Do you want to do this? We can add this in." And they just ended making him do this Lego setup and it ended up being awesome as hell. Just for
Yeah.
a short minute,
That's
for
cool.
a short
That's
second.
dope.
Really well
I like
done.
that.
Really well done, yeah. And they had J.K. Simmons like throughout every universe as J. Jonah.
always have a
Jameson, which
JK.
I thought that was cool. Huh?
You always have that. You always have to have him.
Oh yeah.
Yes. He is James Jonah Jameson.
Yeah,
Jimmy
he is.
Jazz-
He's great.
Jimmy Jazz always
No
says big
Ultimate
disappointment.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ultimate
I was surprised
Spider-Man,
there
I
wasn't
know
no
that-
Ultimate Spider-Man.
I know that. I know Ultimate Spider-Man like the comic books. Is there Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon too?
Yeah.
I think so,
grew
yeah.
up with it.
What's the cartoon?
The one with I think the crazy fucking like intro with a lot of like guitar riff noises.
No,
Was
that's
it-
just regular the '90s Spider-Man. I think Ultimate Spider-Man is just a comic book. Unless they have, is there a cartoon?
It might be one somewhere somebody did.
Yeah, I know the Ultimate Spider-Man comic book. Jimmy,
But,
help us. Explain down in
But
the
Josh,
comments.
while we wait for Jimmy Jazz to give us a guiding hand, if you want to go ahead and give your final thoughts and review so we can kind of wrap up.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? This movie, there's a lot going on. I already said like the kind of the pacing stuff. But all the characters kind of have something to do. There's like character arcs for everyone. Gwen Stacy's storyline's interesting. Miles Morales has a lot going on. Um, oh, the cartoon goes into
Oh
space
yeah,
without
I know.
sound.
I know the cartoon now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I only watched one episode. I thought it was kind of weird, and I was like, all right, I'm done with this. But anyway, um, yeah, I think it was really well made for the most part. I think the first one's superior because it's like one whole entity, and it has like I don't. It's just like one cohesive story, and I think it connected with me a lot more than this one because there's a lot going on. Um, I'd probably give the first one like an 8 or a 9. This one I'd probably give a 7. Maybe on the second watch, I would appreciate it more, but, like, I almost feel like at the same time, there's, like, a big hole missing with the next movie. Um, so, like, I almost feel like I can't give, like, my full thoughts because there's, like, a whole big chunk of the story missing.
Yeah.
No, that's very fair. I agree because I kind of told Matt after he had seen it and we were talking. I kind of told him how my some of my feelings, some of my gripes, and some things I wish they had done differently. So a lot of what we've said I agree with. Some things I didn't even think about that you guys pointed out to me.
Oh, like what?
Uh, no, just in terms of like how there was too many spider people. Like I,
Mm.
watching it, it just went
It
right
was
over my head. I
cool.
didn't pay it
Yeah.
any attention.
It was definitely neat, but I think it wasn't necessary to have, like, a million, you
Yeah,
know?
you got that right.
Uh,
Crispy, you want to go ahead and give your final thoughts and review?
Basically everything we've been talking about is like I agree with. I have no other issues. I talked about my nitpicks already, and I do believe the first movie is more superior. I give this movie like it's hard for me to say because I like the first one. The first one to me is like an 8, and I kind of want to give this one also an 8, but it's a lower 8 to the first one because the first one's gonna be the higher 8 because they actually gave you like you had more family and everything in that one, like Josh is saying. In the first one, this one was just everything's just happening. We got some family stuff that's nice to have, but we're still getting we're getting taught the Spiderverse, like the whole dimensions and everything. So there's a lot to take in. But they did so well with like trying to give you everything in this whole movie instead of just saying, there's a Spider-Verse, there's everything here, and then they're like, oh fuck, but what do you even say to me? Kind of thing. Or give you a half-assed like setup that doesn't really 100% make sense. Like that doesn't even make it to like 20%. Like it's nice that they actually did that. So I'm not gonna like nitpick like in the Flash, they kind of gave us an explanation, but they kind of gave us it with spaghetti, and like that's just I don't care. Like you should could gave me a better. I like that you tried it, but you should have gave me a better example than spaghetti. It should have been something else.
I liked that
But
scene. I thought it worked pretty well, and it was very simplified and necessary for the audience to comprehend. And it's the most simplified way to explain,
The
splits in
multiverse
the
to
multiverse. So, and then
with
it's
fucking
string theory.
everything.
It's called string theory for a reason, and they basically instead of using strands of string, they use spaghetti strands. So I thought that was fine. And how Michael Keaton's performance, like, kind of, you know, sold it. So I disagree with you.
okay, but I give this a low 8. This movie.
All right,
No, I agree with that.
I just want to
Oh, go
read
ahead, Jeff.
Jimmy Jazz's comments here. He says, also, we know 2099 is lying. Nothing he says tracks. The fact that Miles' world or the other isn't gone from the first film, someone is hiding facts. That ending wasn't a great stopping point. Could have just have each world on back of the turtles all the way down. Are you talking about like fucking it with like the big turtle god and all
Or he's
that
talking
shit.
about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Jimmy. Are you
he's
talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Because I know, like in the It universe, like the fucking
No, the
Earth
turtle
is
is a
on the back
thing.
of a turtle or something fucking ludicrous. Or after doing 8 balls of fucking coke, Stephen King wrote just fucking nonsense. So okay. Do you guys have anything you want to add
I
to
still got to give
Spider?
mine.
Yeah, Jerry still has to say his
Okay.
name.
I just have something I want to add before we
Oh, you can go ahead and add yours.
No,
and then
it
I'll
has
wrap up.
nothing. It has no. It has nothing to do with Spider-Man. So I want to add it before we end
Okay.
the show. So go ahead.
It definitely, like what Josh and Crispy have said, I do agree with. This is a great film, don't get me wrong, but I do feel like the first film is superior in the respect that even though we got to see 4 to 5 other Spider people, it was a nice and simple plot. And I felt like with this movie and what's going to be the follow-up film, it's gotten too convoluted, especially since now both Marvel and DC have brought in their own versions of the multiverse, and things have just not been explained too properly, and now they're just trying to make something up to give it a little bit of a small grasp, so you're not just, why the hell are there 40 million Spider-Men, and why are they just ganging up on this one weird kid? I do agree that that this movie has some really, really great things going for it. I like that we got to see Gwen Stacy's point of view in her universe and some of her troubles, as Josh said. And I like how that got wrapped up immediately. That did not get dragged on, except for a little bit in the beginning. That some of that could have been cut down by about, I'd say, 5-10 minutes. And then definitely how we're seeing Miles go through a big, teenage shift from, a teenager in high school getting ready to think about, what do I want to do with my life, when I graduate, because at the end of the day, he's still a spider person, so he still has that duality to his nature that's always going to accompany him no matter what. And this I'm not gonna go into mentioning this. I told Crispy this over the phone, and I think I'm just gonna leave it be. But definitely to some of the people making videos about this movie, please, 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 for the love of God, think before you say some outrageous things, because some things that I've seen have zero base. I'm not gonna say it. Crispy knows what I'm talking about.
It's dumb.
And there's a reason that these comics have been going on for so long and that there's an established story. It's not this fantasy world that you live in that you're trying to hyperimpose on everyone else. Also, I really, really hope that in the second, not the second, but in the final film, they tie everything in like really closely. And there's no loose ends, there's no overused just plot points. Everything is just wrapped up and just done really cohesively so that nothing feels like it was lacking and nothing feels like it was overdone. And like Crispy, I'm going to give this movie a low 8. There were a lot of things that I liked. Definitely, with this being an animated movie, I knew they were going to do some 3D CGI, which I absolutely hated. It looked like dog poo poo water, and it was just really, really, really awful in my opinion. I hated it. I don't, if somebody else thought it was good, that's how they feel. But to me, when they were in Moonbottom, New York, and there was that 3D scene where the police chief was about to die, and it went to that 3D crap, I thought that was completely awful and took away from the emotional impact of it. And I would have just changed that scene outright. But yeah,
I don't even remember that.
it was very underwhelming, to say the least.
Okay. Do you remember that, Matt?
Yes.
All right. Maybe I was sleeping. I wasn't.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So that was. Did you give your number? Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, I said a low 8.
Okay. Before we end the episode, I just wanted to say, um, going back to Flash, Eric Stoltz. I just wanted to mention the Eric Stoltz part. So Eric Stoltz, they kept mentioning Eric Stoltz from like being replacing Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. Well, being Marty McFly instead of Michael J. Fox. So originally, he was casted to be Marty McFly. They filmed 2 weeks with with this actor, and then 2 weeks into production, they're like, "All right, this actor isn't working. We need Michael J. Fox." So they fired Eric Stoltz, and they got Michael J. Fox to be Marty McFly. So I thought that
That's
was kind of
funny.
like a
I didn't know that.
neat thing that they mentioned. Like they kept mentioning Eric Stoltz because that was almost in fruition of what Back to the Future would have been with a completely different actor. So there is some stuff filmed, but like it's never been really released. There's only like 2-second clips. Like I never seen a sequence where like he actually has dialogue like that they shown. I would love to see it. If they release it on like a Blu-ray or something, but I doubt they will. But I don't know. So
That's cool. I did not know that. I'm gonna have to try to find that
yeah,
myself
I just
one day.
that I felt like that was necessary to say. So yeah, I guess we'll finish the episode. Jerry, what are your picks for next episode?
I have been looking for the longest, and we're finally gonna do it. We are gonna have a Green Lantern themed episode.
Oh no, I'm hiding.
I was wondering
are-
when this was gonna happen. Okay.
So for the short, we are going to watch Green Lantern, the animated series.
Cool.
The episode's name is Larfleeze. I have to see the actual episode number, but I know the episode is called Larfleeze. And for the feature length, we will be reading the Larfleeze comics. And I found a website that is free with no bogus ads.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But I like the ads.
No,
Yeah,
you
we
don't.
haven't
Shut
done
up.
a comic. We haven't done a comic book since Superman smashes the Klan. I think that's
True.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been a while. What is
And I
it called?
think Larfleeze.
Larfleeze?
Yeah, Larfleeze.
Okay.
He's also known as Agent Orange.
Oh, he's like the lizard guy.
Yes.
He's
And
Bosk.
he's kind of an unsung villain. He's definitely one of Hal Jordan's more powerful villains he fights, just because of, as you'll see, some of the things from his past, some of the things he can do, among other things that go on with Larfleeze being a member of the Orange Lantern Corps. But I think you guys are going to enjoy it. You're going to get some laughs. You're going to get some oh shits out of it. And I've been wanting to do this for a while, to give you guys a good introduction to one of my favorite Green Lantern villains.
Okay.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I felt like that was a long time coming, like we needed it because you always been I heard you talking about the animated series. Like I haven't watched it, but like I remember you saying it was pretty good. So I'm looking forward to it.
And yes,
Yeah.
Jimmy, we did read Batman versus. No, we read the Superman.
No, we read Superman versus the Klan.
There is no. I
There's
don't
no
think that's a
Batman.
thing.
think
I don't think that's a thing.
Hold on, there's always Google.
So if you don't want to be spoiled for Larfleeze, the episode and the 12-issue comic run, make sure to watch and read before next Batyard episode. You guys ready to close out?
Yeah. So 3, 2, 1. This is Josh from Batyard Productions sending you off up and away until next Batyard's finest episode.
And
This is Jerry guiding you all with Green Lantern's light,
I'm Superman's friend, Matt.
and we're becoming superpowers one episode at a time. Good night, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Matt, is that a real thing? Claim
It is a
now.
real thing. It is.
It is.
Lying?
Detective. No, it's a thing. It's right here. This little freaking
is.
comic. It's Batman
Wow.
in the background. You can barely see him, but it's Batman versus the KKK Detective Comics. And it's the annual number 2 DC. Wait, I didn't Jimmy or Steve buy this at one point? I remember this. Them
Yeah.
bringing this up in like months God.
Months and months and months. Yeah, I think the next time we'll have a bonus episode. We should do that Batman Superman thing we've been talking about for a while. and probably Indiana Jones, and I think that's coming out soon.